subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Fei said that she couldn't wait to lie down on the chair and get ready. Although he was not a hunter in his previous life, he was able to become a master at any rate. In this world, he has a superhuman body, and his nervous response and micromanipulation are many times stronger than his previous life. What kind of machine-difficult Terminator? When he enters, he will incarnate as Brother Swazi and let the robot taste what is social evil. Seeing Ye Fei's confident look, Zhu Di also inserted the game chip in his hand into the server in his studio. After all, the game can't even support the robot's operation without a server. After finishing all the preparations, Zhu Di handed the Xiaoming device to Ye Fei. Let me tell you first, there are sensory settings here. The first thing you do when you go in, I advise you to turn off these things first. After all, they're only half developed, and there may be bugs in the sensory settings. I see, let's get started. Seeing that Ye Fei said, no problem, Zhu Di pressed the button to start the game. A white light flashed, and Ye Fei was already in a training ground. This is the training ground, a novice tutorial that everyone has to go through, and you can only start playing the game after following it. Ye Fei appeared in a shooting range and looked around, and then heard Zhu Di's voice, and Ye Fei followed suit. Then Ye Fei followed the tutorial and passed. Of course, he also tried all the firearms provided in the shooting range. With his muscle memory and brain development, he can achieve perfect gun control with just one shot. Of course, maybe it's because it's not fully developed, so the characters here are all white bards. That is, they don't have any special skills, and they are exactly the same except for their appearance. After choosing the Terminator difficulty, Ye Fei entered the official game. Let's fight to our heart's content below. Mercenaries. There was a sound in the flight cabin, and then the cabin door was opened, and a strong airflow filled the flight cabin at once. And Ye Fei could also feel this airflow. Ye Fei was also unambiguous, and jumped down immediately. Zhu Di, who was watching outside, couldn't help being surprised when she saw Ye Fei jumping out of the flight cabin without even thinking about it. After all, when playing this game for the first time, most people's first reaction should be to observe the map. But Ye Fei had a clear goal. He looked at the densely packed garbage town below and adjusted his flying angle so that he could land at a faster speed. After Ye Fei landed, he first picked up a shotgun and then, without hesitation, turned the muzzle to the direction where there were footsteps behind him. Boom! A gunshot directly sprayed a robot that fell around him into a box. I'll go full spray. Seeing this scene, Zhu Di swears immediately, because there is no armor when he lands, so as long as he picks up a handful of spray guns and hits it twice, he can take one away, but Ye Fei's spray has at least 80% of the bullets. Hit the robot on the head. So the robot was sprayed out all at once. Without too much hesitation, Ye Fei opened the warehouse of the remaining 2 capsules and got a rifle shaped like a rattlesnake. In Ye Fei's words, the name of this rifle should be R301. And Ye Fei didn't search too much for supplies. After picking up a blue armor, some gun accessories, and medical supplies, Ye Fei started his slaughter. While watching the picture sent back by Xiaoming outside, Zhu Di and Jack were already stunned. A rifle and a shotgun. Taking into account both medium and close range, Ye Fei basically sees a robot and takes it away with a shuttle, and then switches the shotgun to kill the robot that approaches him. In Zhu Di's eyes, these robots, which are like plug-ins, are like toys in Ye Fei's hands. And the robot's counterattack can often only destroy 2 grids of Ye Fei's armor. After coming out of small town, Ye Fei also changed his guns from shotguns. Not only did he change the armor on his body from the blue armor to the best gold armor now, but he also installed the best accessories on the 2 firearms he was carrying. Ye Fei only carried 180 rounds of ammunition for his rifle, and only 16 rounds for the single sprayer, and the rest were either medical supplies or grenades. Coming out of the garbage town, Ye Fei has killed 10 robots, and the damage has reached 2,600. Ye Fei sat on a skydiving tower not far from the garbage town and flew towards the center of the map. It is the most densely populated place of robots, and can be said to be the most dangerous place on the entire battlefield. The first moment Ye Fei landed was to persuade the robots in this housing area to stop fighting. Of course, the heads were all Ye Fei's subordinates. After cleaning up 3 robots in a small room, Ye Fei rushed to the next battlefield without stopping. In the end, under the numb eyes of Judy and Jack, Ye Fei ended the last robot with 1 punch. Ye Fei only played this game for less than 16 minutes, and the vicious circle has just reached the 3rd place. Then a white light flashed, and Ye Fei quit the game. Phew, what AFG joy. The first thing Ye Fei did when he woke up was to say he was refreshed. After all, this was the most enjoyable time he had come to this world to play. Then he saw Judy's eyes, as if looking at a monster again. This made Ye Fei, who had always prided himself on being thick-skinned, a little embarrassed. "What's the matter? Judy, do you have something to say? You really look like a monster." Judy couldn't help but put away her straight gaze and sighed. Chapter 29, Ye Fei's intentions. After talking about this, Judy remembered a certain operation of Ye Fei in the game, which was quite dangerous, when Ye Fei was destroying a robot in front of him in the garbage town. Because the armor was consumed, but with the sound of hurried footsteps behind him, Ye Fei rushed directly to the wall. Just when Judy thought Ye Fei was going to give up, he made an operation that Judy couldn't even dream of. I saw that Ye Fei first used the wall climbing mechanism to let himself stay on the wall for just half a second. When the robot saw him, he stepped on the wall and arrived at the back of the robot, and then a shuttle locked in the robot's body. Take on your head. This kind of combat awareness and combat experience amazed Judy. If Ye Fei hadn't stood in front of her, he would not have believed that Ye Fei hadn't installed a combat prosthetic body. "Ye Fei, you are so awesome. I'll go. I want to play this game once after seeing it," Jack said with some excitement. "Really? I think it's not bad." Ye Fei said, "Thank you. I will pass on the cost of Judy's mutual experience to you now. You know, I'm more interested in you than this. Can you leave a contact information of yours?" Judy's words made Ye Fei a little confused. After all, he is a veteran Cyberpunk 2077 player, so he naturally knows that Judy is a LN. Even in the game, he used a male V to pass the level, and then kept choosing the option that made Judy feel comfortable. It's just a friend, except for the matter of modifying the program. It is impossible to use a male character to attack Judy. So this time he had no other ideas other than meeting Judy. Ahem. Don't think too much. It's just that I think you have the talent to be the anchor of Xiaoming game, so I want to tell you these details. Looking at Ye Fei's appearance, Zhu Di knew that he must be thinking wrong, so he just coughed twice and explained. "Judy, I've come to you to spend so many times. Why haven't I seen you come to ask for my contact information?" Jack said, "You should come here less in the future. Jack, I just saw you flipping through my new Dream movie and said that you haven't used the last Dream movie." Judy looked at Jack angrily and said, Jack knew that he came here for more exciting Super Dream movies, so it was normal for Judy not to contact him. I don't know why Judy feels a little disgusted with the men in Night City. So over time, Judy began to hate dealing with men and turned to girls, but from Ye Fei, she felt something from Night City. Traits that cannot be felt. A little confused, but can't tell what's different. Okay, I'll pass on my phone number to you now. The operation panel in front of Ye Fei's eyes flashed, and Ye Fei's head appeared in Judy's eyes, and then he received his request. "By the way, Judy, can you give me a copy of your game, Xiaoming? I think I can perfect it for them," Ye Fei asked while playing with the chip that he had taken from the Xiaoming device. "Of course. Can you still program things in this area?" Judy didn't refuse either. After all, Ye Fei was the first man she didn't feel disgusted with, and by the looks of him, he should also like this game. Judy, Ye Fei, the person I told you about defeating the Maelstrom gang, didn't rely on fists. He is also a rare hacker. At this time, Jack jumped out and said, a dozen little brothers from the Whirlpool gang were all blacked out by Ye Fei at once. Hearing Jack speak as if he was there, Ye Fei was a little speechless. "I will be so billion points." In the end, Ye Fei said modestly, "Okay then, I'll make a copy for you now." After a while, Judy copied the semi-finished game Xiaoming in his hand onto a chip. Although you should know, but I still want to repeat to you, this game Xiaoming has not been released on the market, so I don't want him to appear on the market. Do you know what I mean? Judy said while handing the chip to Ye Fei. Don't worry, I know all of this. Hearing Ye Fei's words, Judy let go of the chip. Well, you guys should leave first. I still have some work to do, so I won't send it off. After Judy finished speaking, she started her Mutuo editing work again. Outside the Ritz bar. I'm stupid. Ye Fei, you are so awesome. What's awesome? What's so awesome about just playing a game? Hearing Ye Fei's words, Jack shook his head. I'm not talking about the game. It's Judy. Judy? What's wrong? I'll go. Forget it. It's normal if you don't know. Let me tell you the truth. Judy doesn't seem to be interested in men. So you're the first man who asked Judy to take the initiative to call. Ye Fei gave Jack a blank look. What do you want to say? Jack smiled and looked like I understood. I mean, maybe you can have something to do with Judy? I'm bored. I'm going home first. Seeing that Jack was not serious, Ye Fei waved his hand and went to the light rail station not far from the Ritz bar to go home. On the light rail, Ye Fei was thinking. Originally, he thought that the technology of this world was far superior to that of his previous life. As a result, in terms of games, even FPS games with the gameplay of Apex did not appear. The chip in his hand is only a semi-finished product. After Ye Fei finished playing the game just now, he also thought about it. It will still be relatively lacking. Of course, this is not to say that Ye Fei will give up being a legend, but Ye Fei feels that being a legend alone is not enough for him. After all, so what if it looks like V at the end of the City King in the game? It's just a mercenary. If you want a real foothold, you still need a company with stable income and a certain position of power. Even if he has superhuman abilities, it's still inferior to relying on force to suppress people. He is not a tyrant who kills anyone who dislikes him. Of course, Ye Fei is not a saint. Facing opponents, Ye Fei has always followed through. It is crushed directly. Chapter 30 Kongtao Vegetable Market. After thinking about it carefully, Ye Fei decided to spend a little time perfecting the game in his hand, and then use this as a bargaining chip to invest in that game company, or even buy it directly if possible. After all, the money in his hands and the remuneration in V's hands are completely enough to buy some small companies. V will definitely support him with all his strength, but before that, all Ye Fei can do is to build up his reputation as much as possible, and only by saving enough money can he have the confidence to buy that company. Oh, I still need money. Valley Area Apartments inside Ye Fei's house. Ye Fei, are you back? What did you fool around with, Jack? When V saw Ye Fei, he leaned over immediately and smelled Ye Fei's body. There was no flavor other than some booze. What are you thinking, V? I just want to drink a little wine with Jack. Next time I can take you and Lucy to drink too. Ye Fei explained with some helplessness that he wanted to pick up girls. When he was drinking with Jack in the bar, there were some women who were interested in him, but he couldn't do it when he saw the obvious signs of transformation on the other party. Compared with those people, he prefers the two at home that don't seem to have been remodeled much. Maybe it's because Lucy just came to Night City and hasn't had time to install the spine prosthesis that is more obvious in anime. But now that Lucy knows Victor, a powerful prosthetic doctor, she will choose in the future hidden prosthesis installation surgery. What about you? What did the two beauties go shopping for today? As soon as Ye Fei finished speaking, V took 2 big bags of clothes and put them in front of Ye Fei. Then Ye Fei saw V took out a pile of laundry in his restless eyes. It's not all for me to wear. The corners of Ye Fei's mouth twitched involuntarily, watching V take out a dazzling array of clothes, some in solid colors, some mixed colors, and more clothes with exaggerated patterns. You want me to try one by one? You won't refuse the one I picked with Lucy, will you? After V finished speaking, Ye Fei looked at Lucy in surprise. As soon as Lucy blushed, she turned around and said, "Don't think too much. I just want to thank you. That's all. There's no other meaning." Then Ye Fei became a natural model under V's fiddling. Well, this one is not bad. It suits your temperament very well. Half an hour later, V, I think this one is pretty good. That's right. I think this one looks good too. Ye Fei, you can wear this one when you go out in the future. Halfway through V try-on clothes for Ye Fei, Lucy couldn't help but join in the action of using Ye Fei as a dress-up doll. After all, she is still a girl under 20 years old, and Lucy will not hesitate to show her lively side when she meets someone who can really show herself. All right, I'll listen to you. Ye Fei also said helplessly although the clothes on his body did match him well, but he was really not used to these things. But Ye Fei didn't have so many opinions after seeing the two happy people in the family happy. Let's not talk about it. I've already ordered some dishes online, and I'll cook some delicious food for you when it's delivered. Ye Fei is in a very good mood. He can already feel that the relationship between Lucy, V, and him is getting closer. Huangban Tower Company headquarters. So, is this the dossier you found in the NCPD headquarters? Su Shiming looked at the dossier in his hand with a serious face. This was the video material secretly sent back to them by their undercover NCPD middle and high-level people. Several principals from several continents were basically at the meeting, all because of Ye Fei. I have already organized all the data analysis and video recordings of this file and sent them to you. Ling Xiaoan, the person in charge of Tao in the Americas, said with a serious face. Chairman Su, I think this matter may be fraudulent. It is impossible for someone to be able to double the speed of the 5-stage Synopsis overspeed device newly developed by our company. This is simply nonsense. Lu Ning, the head of Europe, said. Chairman Su, I also agree with his idea. Maybe it's Araba Group or military technology who have created some hidden type of speeding device. The person in charge of Australia said half of them didn't believe it, although their Tao started more than 20 years later than military technology and wasteboards. With the full support of the country and the efforts of many scientific and technological personnel, they have achieved harmony. The status of military technology and Araban company is equal. If it is said that any company in military science and technology or Huangban has unilaterally developed prosthetic equipment that is even more terrifying than the Fifth Order Seinweisten at this stage, the Fifth Company War has already begun. Moreover, their spies in military technology and wasteboards are not vegetarians, and quite a few of them have reached middle and high-level positions. Even if Tao could infiltrate some people and become spies because of his special board in military technology, those people must be low-level figures, and there is nothing to be afraid of. If you want me to say, let our people find this person. Who are you asking to catch this guy who can outrun our latest speeding device? For a moment, there was a scene in Tao's high-level conference room that he hadn't seen for a long time. To describe it in popular words, vegetable market, winky face. Of course, it is not unreasonable for the conference room to be so chaotic. The data analysis and video analysis sent back by Ling Xiaoan are really outrageous. Chapter 31. Su Shiming's plan enough? How long are you going to argue? Su Shiming's majestic voice interrupted the doubts of all the people in charge present. Everyone present remembers that in 2050, under the leadership of Su Shiming, the company quickly modernized and got rid of debts and was renamed Tao. This was the year Kanto launched their new generation 22B Super Smart pistol on the market. Thanks to the government's public support, the company invested heavily in high-tech research facilities and rapidly expanded the smart weapon market. In just 20 years, the former competitors Nakota and Tektronica, a high-tech military enterprise, have been far behind. This old man who led Tao to the top of the world, even if the power in his hands was basically dispersed, no person in charge would dare to challenge him. It's the same as Arama Saburo, who handed Araba Laishian and Arama Hanako the Araba company. Some people are always the soul of a company or organization. After the meeting room fell silent, everyone looked at Su Shiming. Their panic is also because of Ye Fei. After all, they all know the risks and disadvantages of installing prosthetic bodies. You must know that although the prosthetic body is extremely powerful, even the most basic first-order Seinwestian can make a street kid like David into a respectable mercenary in Night City at an extremely fast speed. Although it is undeniable that David's talent and certain uniqueness, but even so, because of the use of too many prosthetic bodies, he will inevitably be on the verge of cyberpsychosis. In Ye Fei, even if he has a super strong prosthetic body that Tao doesn't know about, but even so, the prosthetic body on Ye Fei is still extremely important equipment for Tao. Once this new type of equipment can be obtained first, with Tao's strength and Huangban's support, they will soon be able to use this technology to become the real overlord of the world. If Ye Fei can get this kind of data with his human body alone, then this person is equivalent to Tang monk who went to the West to learn Buddhist scriptures. With a little bit of his DNA data, he can unlock the mysteries of the human body, even possible longevity. Thinking of this, how could these responsible people not be crazy? We have no other choice in this matter. The only choice is to find this person, and it is best to bring him back to China. Su Shiming, sitting on the main seat, announced the final solution to this matter with a deep voice. As long as he can be won over, Huangban will rise. Su Shiming said here that his mind is full of the time when he just joined the army and when he was in danger and was ordered to lead the company to reform and establish Kongtao. Speaking of this, all the people in charge in the conference room had their eyes burning, and every one of the people in charge sitting here had this dream in their arms. Ling Xiaohan. Chairman Su, just say it straight. Ling Xiaohan immediately responded when Su Shiming called her name. In theory, Ling Xiaohan's level is similar to Su Shiming's, but Ling Xiaohan still respects this old man. After all, there would be no Kongtao without him. I found this Ye Fei. I learned from the information that he is also of Chinese descent. Although he didn't grow up here, I think you can start from this aspect. Remember not to irritate the target and make him feel disgusted towards Kongtao. That's the end of the meeting. Su Shiming said that he paused for a moment and then cut off the contact with the people in charge of other continents. If possible, try first to see if you can get DNA from Ye Fei. Chairman Su, I understand what you mean, but it's hard to find this candidate. Ling Xiaohan already understood what Su Shiming meant when he heard this. But who should he choose? I have a granddaughter studying with you. Su Shiming's voice reached Ling Xiaohan's ears unhurriedly. But, Chairman, I don't think Xinyue will let go of this matter. After all, she has already hurt 5 or 6 boys in school who wanted to strike up a conversation with her. Ling Xiaohan naturally knew that Su Shiming's granddaughter was studying in America, and he arranged this matter, but it was because he knew Su Xinyue that he thought that Su Xinyue would not agree to approach Ye Fei because of these things. Hearing what Ling Xiaohan said, Su Shiming immediately blew his beard and stared. That little girl calls every day to find someone who is stronger than her and smarter than her. How many men in the world have such conditions? Thinking of her granddaughter, Su Shiming gave her a headache, and strictly speaking, Su Xinyue had nothing to do with Kongtao other than being Su Shiming's granddaughter. Although the plan is to let Su Xinyue join Kongtao from the bottom up next year. But if this matter gets out, the impact will be great. After all, although the news of Ye Fei is only circulated among the top executives of major companies, is still too sensitive among Kongtao-related households. Su Shiming's letting his granddaughter approach Ye Fei seems to have a strong personal meaning in it. If Su Shiming's opponents caught him, he might be the founder of Kongtao. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't think of another candidate. Su Shiming also said with a very headache. Who's talking about me? In a well-known college in America, a beautiful girl sneezed and frowned. Chapter 32. The despised Ye Fei, a week has passed. Ye Fei and the others have become well known during this time. Ever since they first singled out the Maelstrom Gang's lair, Ye Fei has been well known by the major middlemen in Night City. Although they didn't directly destroy the Whirlpool Gang, Ye Fei took over the Whirlpool Gang's lair and caused the Whirlpool Gang to be in chaos for a few days. If it wasn't for a person from Brick, the Maelstrom Gang would probably be in chaos for a few more days. After finishing the ticket for the Whirlpool Gang, Ye Fei already had contact information with middlemen in various regions. As for how they got Ye Fei's contact information, of course they went to ask the priest for it. Although there are business frictions between middlemen, the mercenaries they know will share. After all, sometimes it is very painful to entrust, but no one can take it. This week, Ye Fei and the others were not idle, but were active in various areas of Night City, taking on some relatively large orders. For example, Regina Jones, I don't know where she found that Ye Fei has the ability to kill cyber psychopaths, so she can contact Ye Fei. Ye Fei captured 2 cyber psychopaths alive for Regina Jones in this week alone. Well, it was directly knocked out and sent to her. Ye Fei didn't hide these things. After all, the more abilities you demonstrated in Night City, the more commissions the intermediary would ask you to do. But today, Ye Fei did not accept the commission. He has more important things to do. Ye Fei spent a little time every day perfecting the game in hand, And today, Ye Fei finally perfected the game. Although he has super brain power, his main direction of attack is not here, so it took a week to finish. Ye Fei, what kind of game do you think we're going to play if we don't accept the good mercenary commission? Our reputation these days has almost resounded throughout Night City. Jack said on the phone with some confusion. In his opinion, the scenery he has gained in the past few days is far better than the scenery he has gained in the past 10 years. And Ye Fei actually went to an unknown game company when countless middlemen were rushing to find them as commissions. Jack, why don't you just take a day off? I'm just going to discuss some business. Wouldn't you like to make an appointment with Misty today? Ye Fei was a little speechless. He felt that Jack had already lost his head because of the hype, but he was not angry. After all, it was Jack's dream to become a legend of Night City. There are indeed quite a few intermediaries looking for them these days, but Ye Fei doesn't want to accept those sesame-sized commissions except for the fat jobs introduced by those famous intermediaries. Not to mention money and a waste of time. Okay, you're right. I haven't met Misty a few times in the past few days. Jack thought for a while and felt that what Ye Fei said was also reasonable. These days, sometimes they have to accept 2 orders in a day, which is indeed a little tiring. Okay, hang up. I've already arrived at the game company. After Ye Fei finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Looking at the dilapidated apartment in front of him, he opened the information panel and glanced at the address sent by Judy and compared it. It was indeed correct. This is the company? Ye Fei, you are not being tricked, are you? V, who came with Ye Fei, couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. It seemed a little different from the things with the word company in her impression. Lucy said today that she would stay at home, so only V and Ye Fei came out together. You don't think that a company is as big as a board, do you, V? Ye Fei is a little speechless. It seems that the only companies that can be called companies in Night City are super large companies such as Arbin, Military Technology, and Kongtao. It seems that there is also Ye's company, which is the largest contractor in Night City. Public procurers who build and renovate roads, bridges, tunnels, subways, light rail, power stations, network relay stations, water facilities, and sewer systems are almost all their responsibility. The company is also known for its philanthropic activities, such as grants for underprivileged children and scholarships for gifted young people. At the same time, Yesher Group has also invested heavily in research related to ecology and new energy. Then why not? For those who don't even have an office, I'll call them studios at most. V glanced at the dilapidated apartment again and said, "Stop talking so much. Don't we know if we go up and have a look now?" As Ye Fei said, he dragged V upstairs. The messy corridors are full of rubbish, and there is a mattress in some spacious places which should belong to a homeless person. Let me see, room 403. Ye Fei glanced at the door number that had been covered by dirt and knocked on the door after confirming it. Knock, 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 who? Don't you know we're busy? A slightly angry voice came from inside, and then Ye Fei saw a man with an afro open the door. Who are you two? We don't have anything here. The man looked at Ye Fei and V with some vigilance. Although he didn't know what the purpose of these 2 cleanly dressed people was, even a child in Night City couldn't be trusted. It's you, the brat at the boxing gym. Me? I'm the savior of your studio. Ye Fei smiled and then said something that made Nancy Phillips puzzled. FKU, go downstairs and turn right and walk 800 meters to a hospital. Where can you go to generate electricity? Philip directly extended a middle finger to express his disdain. Chapter 33. Taking down the studio, hearing Philip's words, V, who was standing beside, Ye Fei couldn't help laughing. Ha ha, Ye Fei seems like you want to give investment to others, but he thinks you're crazy. Ye Fei's face was full of black lines when he heard V's words, and he didn't expect that the guy in front of him wouldn't even let him finish a sentence. What? Investment? Boss, come in and sit down. Hearing V's words, it took less than half a second for Nancy Philippe to change from an impatient expression to a dog-licking expression. Why didn't he doubt it? Because he saw Ye Fei's clothes with the Oasis logo on the collar. No one who can go to that store to buy clothes is a poor owner. Just now he was angry because he was interrupted from writing the program. After he came out, Ye Fei also said that he was their savior, which made Philip directly get angry and scold Ye Fei. Now hearing V say the word investment, Philip, who was short of funds, returned to his sanity in an instant. Your face changes quite quickly. Seeing Philip transform from a grumpy old man into a little licking dog, Ye Fei felt better, but he still slapped his lips. After all, he came here this time to discuss business. Since it was to discuss business, he couldn't give so many good looks. Otherwise, how would he strive for the greatest benefit? Isn't this just a rush? After speaking, Philip took Ye Fei and V to the only clean place in the apartment, beside a coffee table. Boss, I just heard this beautiful lady say that you want to invest. Philip asked cautiously. He was really desperate now. Quit from a powerful game company, brought his own savings, and wrote a super dream game with a few like-minded friends. But the difficulty of developing the game and the consumption of funds far exceeded their imagination, and they had already spent 30,000 euros in just 3 months. It is worthy to be a semi-finished product. Although this semi-finished product can be sold well, as game designers with ideals, they don't want to do this. They had a big quarrel within the team because of this, and now everyone else has gone out, leaving Philip still in a hurry to make the game. Well, I accidentally played your Super Dream game, and I think it's very promising. As Ye Fei spoke, he took out the Xiaoming game replica chip he got from Judy. Philip was stunned for a moment, and then his face darkened. You must know that although he had advertised for investment on some websites, they had only given out the semi-finished game chip to one person. Sir, since you got this game, you must have played it. Although Philip was angry that Judy gave their semi-finished game to others, there was nothing he could do. Their studio's biggest bargaining chip is gone now. If the other party wants to make money, they must sell it directly to a big game company outside. There is no need to come to them to discuss investment or something. Stop before you say anything. I suggest you use the chip in my hand to have a look. Ye Fei interrupted Philip. He came here this time to incorporate this team's studio. Although he has the idea of starting a game company, it doesn't mean that he has time to create things that are not available in the Cyberpunk world. Excellent game. Philip frowned when he heard Ye Fei's words, but he put on Xiaoming and started playing the game Ye Fei made according to Ye Fei's words. Half an hour after Philip's body trembled, he withdrew from the game. Sir, how did you do it? We just wanted to start building the skills of the game characters. Philip Barabara said a lot excitedly, and then the whole person seemed to be discouraged. Although this game is the same as the one in his imagination, it appeared in someone else's hands. Since you have completely perfected this game, why are you looking for me? Philip is now like a toy that has been spoiled by a child, and he has lost the passion to introduce their game to Ye Fei just now. I understand how hard it is for you to make this game, and I can feel that you love this industry, and I'm right. Hearing Ye Fei's words, Philip looked up at Ye Fei. How about it? Follow me. I'm responsible for providing you with ideas for making games, as well as funds and salary shares. You just need to make the game well. Ye Fei directly threw out his big move, throwing money at people, and he knew that the people in front of him had no way out except to follow him. After all, knowing so many middlemen, it is still very simple for them to check Philip's details. Philip's current funds are running out, and even a quarrel broke out in the studio yesterday. Ye Fei knows these details clearly. This is the terrifying intelligence network of the middlemen in Night City at the bottom. Okay, but you need to pay the development fee of our game in the early stage. Philip gritted his teeth. He also knew that he had no other way to go. After all, his money was spent now. Is it possible to refuse Ye Fei and watch the other party take the game to the market and make a lot of money while they sit and drink the northwest wind? As for suing Ye Fei, no kidding, they only have a semi-finished game in their hands. Ye Fei's game is already an excellent finished game. Go and tell the judge that you developed it first and see if they agree. Okay, tell me the number. I will give you the salary of the first few months. Ye Fei said with a smile. Chapter 34. The familiar car accident scene in the end. After Ye Fei paid Philip 45,000 euros, he has already incorporated this potential game studio. Of course, at this stage, Ye Fei's financial resources cannot afford an office building in the city. It needs further listing and then withdrawing funds to have capital to buy or lease offices. Ye Fei, if you invest so much money now, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to get back the money later? V said worriedly while driving the Mizutani Hayabusa he bought 2 days ago. Although they received a lot of commissions this week, the income of 45,000 euros was almost enough to empty Ye Fei's wallet. After all, Ye Fei has covered the food expenses for V and Lucy for the past few days. If Regina hadn't done a good job in catching 2 cyber psychopaths alive, Regina would have given Ye Fei 8,000 euros. Today's acquisition of the studio, maybe Ye Fei has to ask V for money. I'm really optimistic about the prospects of the game, V. Just look at it. As long as it goes public, we will have more money and, besides, we can accept more commissions. But these days I will rely on you to live. Hearing Ye Fei's words, V gave him a blank look because Ye Fei was responsible for their food and Ye Fei bought the apartment in full, so it is only natural for V to support him. Okay, look at you. Come and give me a smile. Just after V finished speaking provocatively, the 2 cars directly in front of them began to exchange fire, and there was still a car in the middle that could not move. Actually, Mom, I'm wondering if I should take a break from school to find a job or something. David shook his feet with some annoyance and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Gloria looked at David in surprise and said loudly, "Oh, Mom, you should know that we really can't afford the maintenance costs of the system, right? And I'm like an outlier in school. These things, Mom, you don't know. And we poor people don't have any money in school. Will not be taken seriously. No matter how good my grades are, they won't take a second look. And to be honest, I don't want to be like them." David said with a trace of fatigue on his face. To be honest, if he didn't understand his mother, he would not have wanted to go to Huangban Academy. The rich boys and buddies in it are all people who don't like him. In their eyes, a poor man's going to the Huangban Academy is like tarnishing them. After a few seconds of silence, Gloria said tremblingly, "Then what do you think I'm working so hard for? I work day and night just so that you have a chance to stand out, but now you say you don't want to go to school anymore." "Mom, what you said." David turned his head and glanced at Gloria, who was about to say something, but stopped because Gloria, who had never cried in front of him, had tears in her eyes. "You are so smart and talented, so I have worked so hard to get you the best education, and now you don't want to study. What do you want me to do?" How could Gloria not know what David said? It was because she knew these things that she wanted David to study at Arbon Academy and enter the company in the future to get rid of the current situation. Phew, I see. I'm sorry, Mom. I shouldn't have said that. So don't cry anymore. I'll go to school, David said helplessly. I know how you're treated in school and how those people treated you. I have experienced those things before, but I gave up and became what I am now. That's why I want you to prove that our abilities are no worse than theirs. I want you to give full play to your talents, become an elite, and then climb to the top of the Baron Tower and become a master. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Before Gloria finished speaking, there were sudden gunshots from both sides. FK him. The members of the animal gang in the car shouted frantically. TCH, the cars of these company dogs are all bulletproof. They can't be pierced. The driver glanced at the car that had been shot with dozens of bullets, but had no damage and said angrily, "Haha, luckily I brought this." The little boy of the animal gang, who leaned out of the car with half his body, bent down and took out a bazooka from the car. "Let them taste the power of our animal gang." Boom, phew boom. A bazooka exploded behind the company car, flipping the entire vehicle over. Yahoo! X2, the driver of the animal gang, avoided the overturned company car and drove away. "Mom, feel the brakes." "Brake!" David yelled in horror. "I'm braking." The same goes for Gloria. "Mom!" As soon as David finished yelling, they collided with the company car. Boom! For a moment, the company car that was hit again exploded in flames, and Gloria's car was blown upside down. David is trapped in the car, while Gloria is thrown out. Damn, these bastards of the animal gang have to open fire on this road. Ye Fei looked at the scene of the car accident in front of him, a little familiar, but he couldn't say it was familiar there. No way, we can only wait for NCPD to deal with it now. V shook his head. They had encountered this kind of thing countless times in the first week of their stay in Night City, and V was already somewhat accustomed to it. Chapter 35, Rescuing David, Mom. "Are you okay, Mom?" David looked at Gloria, who was not far away from him in the car, and shouted. Gloria seemed to hear David's call, and her body moved a little, but she didn't move after just trying. Ye Fei, who was not far from the scene of the car accident, heard the voice. I am Super. David? Ye Fei glanced at the scene of the car accident with strange eyes, and then activated the supervision that had been awakened in the past 2 days. Saw Gloria at the scene of the car accident. Wait here first, I'll go take a look. Ye Fei walked forward after saying a word. Trauma team on scene. A floating vehicle with trauma team written on it landed in the open area of the crash scene. Great, it's the trauma team saved. David felt hopeful when he saw the trauma team land. A trauma team member then used a machine to scan David and Gloria before saying something that made David despair. This person is not our client, nor is this woman. We want to ensure the safety of our customers, and we leave those people to the council's body van and the NCPD. The head of the trauma team ordered. Receive. David felt bad when he heard this. Wait, what are you doing? Do you want us to wait here to die? Hey, seeing that the trauma team's floating vehicle had flown away, David fell into complete despair. Stop barking. At this time, Ye Fei walked up to David and then tore off the car door with one hand, untied David, and dragged David out. After being put down by Ye Fei, David ran straight to Gloria's side. Just as he was about to shake his hands, he heard Ye Fei's words. If you don't want her to die now, I advise you not to touch her. Ye Fei's supervision can clearly see that a rib in Gloria's chest has been inserted into her lungs. If David shakes Gloria at this time, maybe it will speed up Gloria, a condition in which the body bleeds. After listening to Ye Fei's words, David didn't dare to touch Gloria with his hands. He looked around anxiously. He was stopped by a company car in front of him, and the road behind was leading to Huangban Academy. We'll take care of this stuff. Then he saw Ye Fei behind him. I beg you, save my mother. Regardless of his injuries, David knelt down in front of Ye Fei. Tisk, it's been more than 100 years since the Qing dynasty died, and you're still kneeling here. Ye Fei said something that David couldn't understand at all. Then he walked to the front and kicked the company car blocked in the middle of the road into the lake below. At this time, V had already driven the car to the scene of the accident. Then Ye Fei carefully carried Gloria into their car, looked at David, who was still kneeling on the spot stupidly, and said, How long are you going to kneel there? Get in the car. Only then did David recover from the shock of seeing Ye Fei kick the company car away. Okay, David looked at the handsome Mizutani Falcon in front of him and got into the car in a daze. Ye Fei, this is not like what you do. When did you become so enthusiastic? V looked at Ye Fei with some teasing and said, Although Ye Fei is usually very kind to his own people, he always treats other people in Night City with a cold look. Like this kind of car accident, they met no less than 5 times this week. Every time, Ye Fei waited for people from NCPD or City Hall to clean up the mess before leaving. I actually took the initiative to help today, didn't I? Thinking of this, V glanced at Gloria, who was lying on the back seat. Although this woman is not bad, it is not enough for Ye Fei to help out for this. It's just a matter of raising your hands. Let's send them to the hospital first. Here you go. Use this pneumatic injector. Ye Fei said indifferently, then took out a pneumatic syringe with a blue casing and threw it into David's arms. David injected Gloria with a pneumatic syringe he had learned how to use at Arabata Academy. Ahem. After using the pneumatic injector, Gloria coughed twice, then opened her eyes in a daze and saw David. David, where are we? Mom, we are in the car now, and a kind gentleman is pulling us to the hospital. When David saw Gloria wake up, he was a little excited, and then he looked at Ye Fei, who was sitting in the co-pilot's seat very gratefully, and said, Just call me Ye Fei, and the beauty next to me is called V. Ye Fei said lazily, basking in the sun with the window open. Ye Fei, in a daze, Gloria felt a little familiar when she heard the name, as if she had heard someone say it. Then Ye Fei didn't say much, and sent David and the others to the nearest hospital. The facilities here are much better than the hospital David went to. At least the doctors here are still wearing white coats, unlike the doctors over there who are dressed like butchers. Of course, the money was also advanced by Ye Fei. Brother Ye, I really don't know how to thank you. After seeing Gloria being pushed into the operating room, David breathed a sigh of relief, and then looked gratefully at Ye Fei, who was standing beside him drinking a drink. To be honest, in their situation, if they don't have the money to buy members of the trauma team, If they encounter that kind of thing, they want to wait for the NCPD to come. I'm afraid it's not until they're burned to ashes or their car explodes to death. So Ye Fei is their savior. Chapter 36 Ning is the famous Ye Fei. Ye Fei looked at David's immature face, and honestly, if it didn't know this character, Ye Fei wouldn't bother. You don't need to thank me. It's not free for me to help you. Hearing Ye Fei's words, David raised his head and replied seriously, I know, but I still want to thank you. Of course, David knew that all of this was definitely not free. After all, the relationship between people in Night City was never pure. But even so, David is still very grateful to Ye Fei. After all, who would take the risk to save someone in that situation? It's just that after seeing Ye Fei's rescue process, David fell into the idea of longing for power. Whether it was pulling open a jam car door with one hand, or kicking a 2, or a 3-ton car into the air with 1 foot, David's nerves were deeply impacted by these. Brother Yi, I want to ask you, are you the Ye Fei who is famous among mercenaries recently? David asked cautiously. From the time he got in the car and heard V calling Ye Fei's name, David remembered that one of the super dreams that the doctor asked him to sell was very popular. And the protagonists in these super dreams are all Ye Fei. From that perspective, Ye Fei can easily deal with those gangsters or the company dogs who want to support them later. They are all crushing. That's right. It's the recent collaboration between Ye Fei and Judy. Ye Fei always went back to the Ritz bar to let Judy record Chow Meng after finishing the commission. Because of this, Ye Fei also has a lot of income, and even Judy is very happy for Ye Fei to find her recently. After all, Ye Fei can bring Judy a lot of income every time he visits Judy. The pleasure brought by Ye Fei's perspective, whether it's those gangsters who are not happy on the street or some people who work in the company popular among employees. After all, in Chow Meng, they can all feel the terrible power of Ye Fei, just like they themselves have that kind of power. Of course, in Night City, apart from Judy, only Jimmy Kurosaki has the ability to make this kind of black super dream. It's just that Ye Fei won't let that Jimmy enter his super dream and mess around casually. Who knows what he will do? Although Jimmy Kurosaki has also approached him many times in the past few days, saying that he can help Ye Fei make a more popular black super dream. At first, Ye Fei was polite to him, but she always declined. But after being interrupted by Jimmy Kurosaki for the 10th time, Ye Fei got angry and directly blocked the other party. After all, he was interrupted during his night run with Lucy. How could Ye Fei not be angry? Well, the mercenary in Night City is still called Ye Fei, and there should be no one else but me. Hearing Ye Fei's confirmed words, David was excited. Brother Yi, I'm a big fan of your Chow Meng. Your perspective is so powerful that you can feel your power, even in Chow Meng. After all, this is one of the few ways David can find entertainment, and David also sold Ye Fei's super dream in the academy. Although 2/3 of the proceeds from the sale had to be given to the prosthetic doctor, this really made David a small fortune. At least he can afford the cost of washing the wardrobe at home, which can be regarded as a little burden for Gloria. It's okay. Although being flattered by David made Ye Fei a little bit flattered, he still said with a bit of aloofness on his face. The appearance of Ye Fei made David believe that Ye Fei is a master. He had read some books decades ago, since he was a child. It is recorded in the Huangban on the other side of the ocean that there were many martial arts masters before the global prosthetic body. But if you want to practice martial arts, you need to go through years of exercise and a lot of practice. Prosthetics can surpass these masters' decades of hard training in one day. So Huangban Kung Fu has declined. And Ye Fei's recent co-released Mutuo with Zhu Di really made David feel like a martial arts master. Half an hour later, a doctor in a white coat walked out of the operating room. Which gentleman is David Martinez? Here, here, David replied, holding up his hand. Well, Mr. David, Ms. Gloria's operation was successful, and she only needs to be observed in the hospital for 2 days before she can be discharged. In the cyberpunk world, various medical systems are already perfect and advanced. In the anime, many people speculated that Gloria was already dead when she was sent to the hospital. It was just that the doctor wanted to ask David for more information. He lied that Gloria could still be saved because of too much money. Now Gloria was rescued by Ye Fei in time, and a high-quality pneumatic syringe was used, and she was sent to a hospital with complete medical facilities, so that Gloria is now safe and sound. It's just that we found that Ms. Gloria's physical condition is actually fatigued for a long time, which is very bad for patients. So we suggest that Ms. Gloria can take more rest. The doctor's words made David fall into deep thought again. Hello, Mr. David. These are Ms. Gloria's personal items. A nurse with prosthetic hands took Gloria's clothes and handed them to David in a box. After all this was done, the doctors and nurses left, leaving only Ye Fei and David, who stayed where they were. After a long silence, David looked up at Ye Fei beside him and said, "Brother Ye, can I be a mercenary with you?" Ye Fei waited for a long time, just waiting for David's words. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the leisure to stay here for so long. Chapter 37. V's question David. I want you to think before you say anything like that. Although he knew that Gloria's clothes contained a first-order Sion Waystein, Ye Fei didn't say so. After all, he didn't want David or V to suspect him. Ye Fei's words made David, whose eyes were full of hope, fall into deep thought. Yes, why can I work with Ye Fei, a mercenary and super dream star who is now famous in Night City? This is my contact information. Call me later if you have something to do. Of course, it's best if you have the money back. After speaking, Ye Fei signaled to V that it was time to leave, leaving David, who was deep in thought, to stay where he was in a daze. V in the car looked at Ye Fei and asked with some doubts, "Ye Fei, what you did today is a bit strange. Does that brat have something that you can admire?" Others don't know Ye Fei. How can we not know? Although Ye Fei treats his partners very well and never cares about the money. But at the same time, Ye Fei is also a person who does not see the rabbit and does not throw the eagle. Even when we want to talk to Philip about the studio today, Ye Fei squeezed the benefits he could get to the extreme. Of course, this will not affect Philip's work for him. Since Ye Fei went to rescue the man named David Martinez and went to the hospital for surgery, and Ye Fei paid for the medical expenses, V couldn't see what benefit Ye Fei could get from it. It can be said that it is all about generating electricity for love, and a student can't see where it can create value for Ye Fei. I have a hunch that this David is likely to become a very good thug in our team, and this is my reason. The reason Ye Fei gave was very far-fetched, but he couldn't tell V that he had watched anime in his previous life, and he knew David was a potential stock, so he went to save him. I'm afraid it wasn't, because V turned the car around and went back to the hospital to ask the doctor to check if there was something wrong with Ye Fei's brain. Forget it. I won't ask if you don't want to say it, but you seem to have a good relationship with Lucy recently. V asked with a meaningful smile. V's words immediately cheered Ye Fei up to 200,000 points. He knew that the only thing he could do now with this kind of problem was to get along with it. Otherwise, his dog's life might be lost. No, I'm just going to run at night with Lucy. What can I do? Ye Fei said calmly. At this time, Ye Fei showed a strong ability to manage emotions and adjust micro-expressions. After all, now V is frantically scanning his face with her prosthetic eye. Although he has written a program these days to install a program that automatically counters people who scan him, but he's been ignoring the barrage of warnings that pop up from the system right now. I think so. How could Lucy see a man younger than her? V scanned for a few minutes, but didn't find any clues, so he continued driving. Seeing V's appearance, Ye Fei also heaved a sigh of relief. After all, he doesn't want to give up anyone now, and the only way to live a new life is to be happy. But in the current situation, if he dares to admit that he talked and laughed with Lucy during the night run and went to eat supper, based on his understanding of V, I am afraid that V will bring him and Lucy together if it is not tonight. Salute and throw out of the apartment together. Well, what's going on? Why doesn't Gloria answer the phone? Man looked impatiently at the contact interface in front of him, where no one answered after making 5 or 6 calls. Dorio saw Man's impatient face and knew why he was so irritable. After all, Gloria called him yesterday and told them that she had a military-style Synvestian prosthesis in her hand. This made Man call Gloria 20,000 euros on the spot, which was simply a bargaining chip for his prosthetic transformation to a higher level. Besides, Man, when are you going to kill those bastards for me? Man makes a call that he doesn't even want to take now. FK me. Is there something wrong with you? Didn't you see how loud those guys' names are these days? Man was very upset because he found out that the person Toby Jace asked them to kill that day was the hot mercenary team in Night City. FK, I paid you. If you can't do it, you can return the money to me. I will find someone else. Toby Jace shouted angrily. Now he can't control Ye Fei's reputation at all. In his opinion, Ye Fei must have used the money from selling the mutated green-haired lizard to pretend to be expensive. The prosthetic body has risen in a short period of time. The fame Ye Fei and the others got should belong to him. Toby Jace, get out of your way. FG 5,000 euros for us to do this kind of work? Get out. Trash. After Man heard what Toby Jace said, he directly transferred the 5,000 ohms back and then directly hung up the call of this little middleman who didn't know whether he was dead or alive. He can also be regarded as a relatively top-notch mercenary in Night City, but Ye Fei's reputation is really a bit loud these days. For Toby Jace's 5,000 euros, it is obvious that Ye Fei's hard steel unwise. Man, what did you just say to Toby Jace? Dorio sat beside Man and said with some doubts, "It's nothing. This stupid Toby actually wants us to do that, Ye Fei, and the dog will not do this shit for only 5,000 euros. To be honest, there were also commissions for fighting between mercenaries, but mercenaries of the level of Ye Fei's team would have to pay at least 40,000 euros to do so. Otherwise, who will die? What's more, the current Toby Jace has long since left the middleman profession, and Man's order from him is at best a personal order. Returning the money to Toby Jace is not a bad idea. If you change to other mercenaries, the money will be blackmailed directly. Chapter 38 must become stronger. Even if you don't want to do this commission, you shouldn't be so angry." Dorio looked at Man with some doubts. To be honest, she felt that Man's temper became more and more irritable at some point. I don't know if it's an illusion. FK, it would be strange if I didn't say anything to be underestimated by a middleman like this. Man said angrily. In fact, his anger is not mainly because of Toby Jace, but that the intermediaries he used to cooperate with him will now intentionally or unintentionally distribute some of the commissions that would have been entrusted to him to the recently famous Ye Fei. Ye Fei's recent commissions are basically completed perfectly, whether it is to steal from the company dog, to assassinate, or to save people, they could be perfectly completed. This makes those middlemen like to assign entrustment to Ye Fei. After all, their customers are naturally more satisfied and will give more money if they complete their tasks perfectly. No, if Gloria can't be reached tonight, I'm going to go find her. After adding up all the reasons, Man became more and more eager for Sion Waystein in Gloria's hands. Dorio, who was sitting next to Man, didn't say much when she heard this. As the person with the best relationship with Man, she naturally knew how much pressure Man was under. There is no way out of the way of mercenaries except to go up. The final consequences of each mission are basically borne by mercenaries. Those people don't have the guts to deal with those top intermediaries with huge power and financial resources. David's house. David went home and sorted out some of Gloria's belongings, and finally found Sion Waystein among Gloria's clothes. Combined with the loss of military prosthetic bodies heard several times on the radio today, David's breathing became more and more short. After taking a photo of Sean Weston, David sent the photo to the prosthetic doctor he knew. Got a quick reply. "Where did you kid get the military version of Synopsis?" Seeing the doctor's reply, David suddenly became very excited. Because today's medical expenses are paid by Ye Fei, so now David is not as desperate as in the anime. When he found Sion Waystein, his first reaction was not to think about how much money this thing has. Instead, he wondered if he would have the capital to join Ye Fei's mercenary team if he installed this thing on his body. David rang out at noon today. Ye Fei's every move, the sense of security brought by the absolute power and the gap between when he was desperate and could only watch and wait to die, made David's pursuit of power in Ye Fei's. This kind of power made David's incomparable longing from longing. "Doctor, can you help me if I say I want to put this thing on me?" After David sent the message, the doctor saw it and immediately called David. "Have you gone crazy, kid? This is not something you can afford." The prosthetic doctor is telling the truth now. After all, even the original owner of the prosthetic body is a colonel with military technology, the kind who has experienced corporate wars. This kind of prosthetic body that a person's will can't bear is not something David, a student who is still in school, can bear. Although it is not necessarily all because of Sion Weinstein, but Sion Westan has a large part of the reason why he became cyberpsychopathic. UBD. Today, because of the pirated chip you gave me, I scrapped the teaching system of the college. I didn't settle this account with you. David now just wants to put this prosthetic body on his body to gain strength. Others can't handle so much anymore. Tisk, okay, then you bring that thing to me, and I'll put it on for you. After the prosthetic doctor finished speaking, he hung up the phone. David stared at Sion Weinstein in his clothes with burning eyes. David glanced at the caller. Katsuo Tanaka? What is this guy doing on the phone? David didn't think much about calming down before answering the phone. What do you want to do? David said in a cold tone. Although those people at school said they looked down on him, they still recognized his ability after all. Only Katsuo Tanaka didn't care about those at all. He has been ridiculing David all the time, and even often drags David to the garbage station of the college for bullying. The reason is also very outrageous, saying that he wants to try the latest kung fu chip he installed. David, you don't have to be so cold. After all, we're still classmates. I heard that you and your mother had a car accident. Although I know you need sympathy for this, I really can't sympathize. Why? After all, your mother is a person who committed crimes so that her son could afford to go to Huangban College. Ah, what a great mother. But it's a pity that God finally punished her for her crimes. I think she should be waiting to die in the hospital now. After all, I don't think a family like yours can afford the hospital's medical expenses. Even if she is still dying now, maybe she will die tomorrow. These are her punishments for breaking the law and committing crimes to make money. So people like you can only rot in the slums and become a gangster. And then one day you will die as humble as your mother. Katsuo Tanaka hung up the phone without waiting for David to reply after mocking him. Katsuo Tanaka. David's eyes were full of anger. After the car accident that almost lost his mother today, David put the matter of protecting his mother at the top of his heart. As a result, Katsuo Tanaka sneered at him like this and even made insulting remarks to Gloria. He was holding Sion Weston's hand more and more vigorously, and now he only had one thought in his mind. Become stronger, must become stronger. Chapter 39. The plot begins, woohoo. This girl doesn't rub her body. The prosthetic doctor, lying on the operating chair, is looking at his newly arrived black Xiaoming. Visitors arrive. Seeing these 4 typing prosthetic doctors, he took off the Xiaoming equipment he was carrying and saw David standing at the door panting. Is this the Sion Weston that all the mercenaries in the city are looking for? It's really a good baby. Glancing at the prosthetic body in David's hand, he confirmed once again that it was the military prosthetic body sign Vestian that the whole city had been looking for these 2 days. But I've also told you that this thing is really dangerous. I advise you to sell it to me. How about if I can pay you 10,000 euros? The prosthetic doctor looked greedily at the Sean Weston in David's hand, and he only told half the truth. Although this thing is dangerous, for those mercenaries who are on the verge of death every day, this thing is like their second life. Let alone 10,000 euros, even 20,000 euros. There are mercenaries willing to buy them. I said, I want to install it on my body. David stared at the prosthetic doctor with a very dangerous look in his eyes and said, he's like a wolf who wants to put this prosthetic body on right now, and then beat Katsuo Tanaka severely. Tisich, you brat who doesn't know the heights of the heavens and the earth. The prosthetic doctor said something a little uncomfortable, but he still agreed to help David install the prosthesis. After all, he has known David for quite a long time, and the Xiaoming that David sold recently also made him a lot of money. 10 o'clock in the morning, a certain classroom at Arabata Academy. David walked into the classroom slowly. David Martins, I'm sorry you've been marked late. The cold voice of the projection robot that was in class sounded, which caught the attention of Katsuo Tanaka, who was in class. Hey, isn't this David, our 3 good student? We're already halfway through class. You're just rely on me. Katsuo Tanaka spoke in a mocking tone and was kicked off the chair by David. Are you crazy? This is a school. No matter which classroom is monitored. Katsuo Tanaka said while suppressing his anger. But this time he was interrupted by David's fist again. If you're still talking nonsense, I will find it very boring. If you have the guts, you can stand up and tell me what you said yesterday. David's words fell into Katsuo Tanaka's ears very coldly. For some reason, after hearing this sentence, he felt a little fear in his heart, which made him feel a little ashamed. Then he turned over and stood up. Looking at David in front of him, he launched an attack. Katsuo Tanaka's fist had an afterimage effect for a while, and then he sent out a real attack and hit David in the face. Inferior. You can only be beaten down by me again. Katsuo Tanaka thought in his heart, but suddenly he found that David in front of him disappeared, and then a fist was hitting his face. Boom! David's full blow and a little use of the acceleration kinetic energy provided by Sion Waystein hit Katsuo Tanaka to the wall with one punch. Ugh, you, what kind of strange prosthetic body is that? My nose was broken. You are finished. My dad is the school manager. I must let you get out of Arbon Academy. Katsuo Tanaka touched his crooked nose, pointed at David with horror and anger, and said, seeing this usually arrogant guy look like a wimp now, David suddenly lost interest in continuing to attack him. When someone looks down on you, you want to beat him, and when you beat him, you will feel that person is just like that. It's up to you. I don't want to stay in this crappy school anymore. David said calmly. Katsuo Tanaka is done with revenge now. His next goal is to join Ye Fei in their mercenary squad. You gang of scumbags who cut their kidneys, anyone dares to kidnap. Jack looked at the scavenger lying motionless on the ground with disdain and cursed, while cursing and kicking. He wouldn't look down on Jack even if he was a beggar in this city, except for these scavengers. Most of these scavengers are low-level, murderous scum who are used to attacking unsuspecting passers-by or hooligans, harvest their cybernetic bodies and organs, and sell them on the black market. In their eyes, human life is just a bunch of cobbled-together commodities that can be exchanged for money in the black market. And the scavengers don't have any philosophy or purpose. They're just selfish and profit-seeking. The organization is also very loose and only integrated through a single sales channel. They didn't have a fixed base. They were scattered all over Night City, looking for prey to attack. There is no fixed hierarchy, usually a small group of like-minded people led by the most ruthless and cunning leader among them. If possible, they don't even recommend cutting off their companions' body parts and selling them. It's almost Jack. If you really don't like it, they'll be shot down. Ye Fei placed the target of this commission on the edge of the balcony and then retreated into the room. This time, the target was a rich girl with a familiar name, Ye Fei. Sandella Dorset. Well, it's the first mission in the game. Has the plot started yet? Ye Fei murmured. To be honest, he still wants to develop a little longer. After all, he is not sure whether he can withstand a nuclear bomb. Ye Fei, are you worried about something? V standing beside, Ye Fei saw Ye Fei's abnormality and asked softly. Nothing, just thought of something. Ye Fei shook his head. There is no way that only he knows these things, and it is useless to say it directly even if V believes him. It's better to develop well now, so that you can get a share of the future when the deadboard is dry. Chapter 40. Ding. Ye Fei received a phone call that he expected. Hey David, did you call me for something? Ye Fei said knowingly. He knew that David must have installed Sean Wistan on his body, and now David must be looking for him to join him. Brother Yi, can I meet you now? David, who was walking outside Arbon Academy, asked a little nervously. Okay, you can come to the Wild Wolf Bar to find me. After Ye Fei finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Ye Fei and the others only had an order for Sandella Dorset today, and the original plan was to go to Jack's mother's bar for a drink after finishing. David was extremely excited when he heard Ye Fei agreeing to see him, and then he glanced at the Arbon Academy behind him with some mixed emotions. This place that carried all the dreams of his mother Gloria for him completely cut off contact with him. He has no nostalgia for this academy, only shame for Gloria. But since he chose to have sex with Ye Fei, he has no turning back. It's not that he completely lost his mind when he beat Katsuo Tanaka in public, but he did it because he wanted to completely cut off his way back to school. Ye Fei, you just answered a call? Who is it? Asked Jack. An interesting kid. Maybe he will surprise us. Ye Fei smiled and took a sip of beer. Ye Fei, don't you mean the one you saved yesterday? V looked at Ye Fei with some surprise and said, she didn't forget the one named David yesterday. After all, he owed Ye Fei 3,000 euros. It's just that David yesterday was just a student. No matter how the time changes overnight, he can't become a level mercenary, right? Oh, Ye Fei, why are you still interested? Tell me about what happened yesterday. Hearing what V said, Jack also became interested. After getting along with him this week, Jack also knows that Ye Fei is a person who does not see the rabbit and does not stalk the eagle. Since Ye Fei can lend a helping hand, then there must be something special about that person. A little thing. Ye Fei didn't get impatient either and told everything about what happened yesterday. After finishing speaking, Lucy and Jack looked as confused as V yesterday. I said, Ye Fei, you just want to save people and you won't even pay for the medical bills. It seems that you still don't know much about the sinister people in Night City. When Jack was about to start a long speech, a teenager in a yellow shirt sat across from him, and then he picked up the unopened beer on the table and drank it. Ahem. Sure enough, I'm still not used to this kind of thing. David coughed after taking a sip of beer. Hey, UBD, it's very rude to drink in someone else's booth without any reason. Do you know that? Jack said angrily as soon as he realized it. Jack, don't you want to see him? Why are you so angry that he's here? Ye Fei said calmly. Jack didn't realize it until he heard Ye Fei's words. David seemed to appear in front of them suddenly. Hee, it seems that you have installed some scary things on yourself. Ye Fei looked at David in front of him with a smile and said. David didn't say much. He turned around and took off his coat to reveal Sion Waystein on his back. How about it? This is a military-grade prosthetic body Sion Waystein. Brother Yi, can I join your mercenary group? David looked at Ye Fei confidently and said, in his opinion, being able to use a military-grade prosthetic body is a relatively unique existence, right? The thing on your body shouldn't be the prosthetic body of the cyber psychopath a few days ago. Yes, it's that guy's prosthetic body. David nodded. He had just figured it out that this should be the prosthetic body that Gloria took along when she went to clean up the cyber-psychotic scene the day before yesterday. Otherwise, he would not be able to explain where the prosthetic body came from. Oh, then you can show me one. Seeing David's confident look, Ye Fei immediately thought of hitting him. It is good. After David heard Ye Fei's words, he activated the Sean Weston directly, and then prepared to take the bottle of beer from Ye Fei's hand. Swish! Just when David's hand was about to touch the bottle of beer, Ye Fei also started to move in a world where activation was like time pause in his eyes. Moreover, that speed seems to be faster than him. During the acceleration time, David was chasing Ye Fei, trying to get the beer in his hand, but no matter how fast he was, Ye Fei could catch up with him at a faster speed. Ha ha ha! Accelerating the end of the world, Ye Fei and David appeared outside the deck. Compared with Ye Fei's relaxed face, David's sweaty face is very obvious. David, although I don't want to pour cold water on you at this time, if you want to target Ye Fei, I advise you to give up this idea. Jack also knows the effect of Sean Weston. After all, he has known Victor for so long and chatted with him. Knowing that the effect of this military prosthesis is to speed up the user, but it is still too naive to compare this kind of thing with Ye Fei. The first morning Ye Fei came to Night City, he fought against the terrorist mobile squad. Which one of those guys didn't have Sion Weston? None of the 5 or 6 members of the NCPD terrorist mobile team were able to stop Ye Fei that day, let alone the current David. Besides, which of those guys didn't install Sion Weston? However, you're pretty good. You can actually use Sion Weston. But your small body is already at its limit this time, isn't it? Jack shook his head understandingly. Chapter 41. David's first mission. No, I've used this thing before. David said with sweat profusely that although Sean Weston could indeed accelerate him, he didn't know why he always felt dizzy after every acceleration. Jack was a little surprised by David's words. Of course, Jack also knew about the cyber psychopath who had participated in the war 2 days ago, but he was also concerned about Sion Weston, even if he didn't pretend to be this thing. Selling it to Victor can also make a small profit, but he didn't have too many thoughts when he saw David wearing Sion Weston. After all, he was also Ye Fei's fancy. But after your kid used this prosthetic body, why didn't you inject yourself with immunosuppressive fluid? Jack suddenly remembered that something was wrong. Immunosuppressant fluid? What is that? David asked confusedly. Ye Fei, the person you're looking for is too crazy. It's a madman who dares to install this level of prosthetic body without even knowing about immunosuppressant fluid. Hearing David's response, Jack also looked at Ye Fei speechlessly and said, "Pull you down. Let's go. I'll take you to see the prosthetic doctor." Ye Fei gave Jack a blank look and then told David that he didn't really trust the prosthetic doctor he saw in the anime. With a reliable doctor like Victor, why would he go to that crazy-looking prosthetic doctor? Inside Victor's clinic, Ye Fei, where did the kid you bring get Huangban? Victor glanced at David and said to Ye Fei with a strange expression on his face. It's hard to say, Victor, you can show him, just as he said, he has used Huangban a few times. Ye Fei said, "Okay, kid, let me take a look for you." Seeing that Ye Fei didn't want to say anything, Victor didn't ask any more questions and checked with David. Well, it's nothing serious. Ye Fei seems to have a much better tolerance for prosthetic bodies than ordinary people. After checking, Victor found that David's nervous system was more active than normal, and this was the case of using Huangban. Generally speaking, after using the prosthetic body, the body will experience a certain degree of nervous malaise. But David's nervous system can still remain more active than normal. What this brings to David is that he is more able to tolerate the consumption of the prosthesis on the human body than ordinary people. Even so, he probably needs immunosuppressants. Ye Fei said he also knew that David could use the prosthetic body more times than ordinary people, but it was not unlimited, that is 2 or 3 times that of ordinary people. That's right, if this young man uses Synopsis a few times, he will die soon. Boy, I will prescribe you a little immunosuppressant. Give yourself an injection if you feel dizzy, and it's best not to use more than 6 times a day with Synopsis. Victor said, and took out a few small needles from his cabinet. I'll just give you as much as you want. Hee. Ye Fei, we are quite familiar with each other. I will only charge you 500 euros for these inhibitors. Ye Fei believed Victor's words, although compared with the game, treating V like his own child was still a bit worse. But judging from the quality and workmanship of the prosthetic bodies installed by Ye Fei and the others in Victor, at least Victor regards Ye Fei and the others as his own. Without saying anything, Ye Fei directly transferred 500 euros to Victor. Brother Ye, this money, why do you say so much? I have work for you this afternoon, and I will deduct it from your salary at that time. Seeing what David was going to say again, Ye Fei waved his hand. Since David was brought to Victor by them, they have already regarded him as one of their own. I will definitely not let you down. Hearing David's promise, Ye Fei smiled. Afternoon outside a stronghold of the Japanese Street Tiger Claw Gang. You have to go in and insert this chip into their computer this time. I have already sent you their internal structure diagram. Go in this time, just like going back to your own home. Don't startle the snake. Lucy will help you hack into the security system. Ye Fei patted David on the shoulder and said, then pointed to Lucy, who was fiddled with the computer in the back seat with a cold face. Lucy just looked up at David, then lowered her head and continued to invade the security system of the Tiger Claw Gang. In the past few days, Lucy and Ye Fei have practiced hacking the system more than once, which has made Lucy's hacking skills progress rapidly. If it is described by the expertise in the game, Lucy should be a hacker with an intelligence of 16. Okay, don't worry, Brother Ye. After finishing his speech, David received the structural picture from Ye Fei and set off. Ye Fei, how long do you think it will take for this kid to come out? Jack sat in the car and said a little bored. A few minutes. Hey, I guess he will scare the snake. How can I say 500 euros to bet or not? To be honest, Jack didn't like this kind of entrustment anymore, and the reward was only 3,000 euro. Most of the commissions they received this week were paid tens of thousands of euros. Ye Fei would not have accepted such a small commission if he hadn't wanted to train David. Bet on the hammer. Do you want me to tell Misty? Ye Fei didn't bother to pay attention to these things. The situation was changing rapidly, and no one could guarantee whether the car would overturn. While Ye Fei and the others were still talking, David had successfully bypassed the younger brother of the Tiger Claw gang outside the stronghold and entered the building. Chapter 42. Ye Fei's reprimand to everyone. David, there's a Tiger Claw guy right in front of you with a shotgun in his hand. Go and break his neck or you won't be able to get into their office. In front of Ye Fei's eyes are the pictures of all the cameras in the building of the Tiger Claw gang. With Ye Fei's eyesight and brain power, he can observe the movements of all the members of the Tiger Claw gang. Here, Brother Yi, can I bypass this person and go directly to their office? Hearing that Ye Fei asked him to break the neck of the strong man 3 meters in front of him, David asked very nervously. Also, hearing Ye Fei's reply, David breathed a sigh of relief, and then Ye Fei said lightly, "You come out, go home, and be your good student. This road is not suitable for you." That's right. No matter what kind of person you are on the road of mercenaries, killing people is unavoidable. Sometimes you can't even have compassion, otherwise the person who begged you for mercy 1 second might take the gun in his hand and give you a headshot. No need, Brother Yi. I'll break this guy's neck. David had no way out now. He went to beat up Katsuo Tanaka in the morning, and he beat him under the supervision of the academy. Now I guess I've already been expelled from Huangban Academy. If I can't hang out with Ye Fei, I guess he will be a street gangster in his life. Gritting his teeth, he quietly lurked behind this strong man from the Tiger Claw gang, even though he had made up his mind to break this guy's neck. But how does he have that kind of strength? David, I will temporarily shut down this guy's system. He will have no resistance within 10 seconds, and then I will hand it over to you. Lucy's voice reached David's ears, and then David found that the big man in front of him had fallen to the ground motionless. What are you still doing? 2 seconds have passed. When Ye Fei's voice came out, David finally realized that he grabbed the strong man's head with both hands and then twisted it hard. Click! There was a crisp sound of bones, and the strong man in front of him, who was still breathing when he fell down, had stopped breathing and heartbeat. David felt sick for a while. To be honest, even if he lived in Night City, he must have seen dead people even if he had never killed anyone. Moreover, although David had been a killer countless times in Jimmy Kurosaki's Black Super Dream, he personally killing still made him feel completely disgusted. A feeling of wanting to vomit came up in his throat, but David swallowed it in the end. Take the access card on his body, go into the office, choose the largest computer, and plug in the chip. Ye Fei's voice came again. Then David picked up the yellow access control card on the big man and ran to the door of the office, went in and inserted the chip into the computer. Well, good. You can come out as soon as the progress bar on the screen is full. Hearing this, David sat down directly on the chair next to him, still digesting the nausea caused by the murder just now. Inside the car, Ye Fei, isn't it a bit embarrassing for David to ask him to kill someone for the first time? Jack said with a troubled face. Even if he was a mercenary, he was doing some petty theft at the beginning, and killing people was already what he did after 4 months as a mercenary. Jack, it's not that I want to force him. Even if the entrustment we have received now is replaced by another mercenary team, it will not be so easy to sneak in. Ye Fei's face was very serious. If we don't force him here, do we have to consider that there's a mercenary in the team who is afraid of killing when we receive such commissions in the future? Ye Fei doesn't want to have to cover the whole situation by himself every time. Could it be that he had to work with Jack and the others all the time before he evolved Superman's super hearing to monitor the world? Each member of an excellent mercenary team should be on his own. If not, Ye Fei would not choose to form a team with Jack and Lucy. Just do all the work by yourself and then spend the money on them. Sooner or later, the job they receive will definitely cause them to split into 2 groups. Ye Fei's current ability is not yet able to make overall plans for all aspects. It can only be correct to exercise Jack's abilities as much as possible. You're right. I didn't think about it properly, Hermano. Lo siento, brother, sorry. After listening to Ye Fei's words, Jack realized that although they had received relatively large commissions this week, every time they dared to do it unscrupulously, it was because Ye Fei was in front of them as a shield. That's why Jack had the illusion that the members of his team were all top-level mercenaries, and the commissions they received were basically harmless. Isn't this top-level mercenary? It's nothing. I just hope that V and Lucy, you two should also realize this. Although I can protect you, I may not be able to protect you by your side anytime and anywhere. Ye Fei doesn't suggest that if he had achieved in such a short period of time the glory and achievements that he hadn't achieved in the past 20 years, he would also be in the sky like Jack. I see. Both V and Lucy replied at the same time. To be honest, the two of them have been very well protected by Ye Fei these days. Whether V was almost attacked by someone who had fallen to the ground and pretended to be dead in a certain commission, or Lucy because of I didn't pay attention and was almost found to be anti-black. One of these two times, Ye Fei killed the attacker with his super fast speed, and the other time, when the system discovered that there was hacker activity, Ye Fei directly burned the hacker's brain. Otherwise, both of them will be more or less injured to varying degrees. Under such an environment, both V and Lucy became a little slack. There was no way Ye Fei's sense of security was really good. Chapter 43 Automatic Aiming is really fun. Brother Yi, the download is complete. How should I go now? David's voice reached Ye Fei's ears, and Ye Fei turned on the surveillance system of the Tiger Claw gang. Damn it. Bad luck, Jack. V. Copy, guys. Tiger Claw helped those guys find dead people. After looking at the surveillance camera, Ye Fei cursed. After all, within 2 minutes of speaking, 2 members of the Tiger Claw gang did not follow their patrol rules and went upstairs. Picking up the G58 Classic Smart Submachine Gun in his hand, Ye Fei got out of the car. It can only be said that the weapons made by Kong Tao are really delicious. The way of automatically tracking the enemy without aiming makes Ye Fei a little can't stop. After hearing Ye Fei's words, Jack and V picked up their weapons and got out of the car. Lucy, you don't need to worry so much now. Just burn any member of the Tiger Claw gang you can see. No problem. At Ye Fei's command, Lucy starts hooking up to the camera and starts burning any Tiger Claw she can see. XN for a while, the younger brothers of the Tiger Claw gang in the facility caught fire one by one without warning. Okar sang, "Mother. Kill K, help. I'm on fire. FK. A hacker has hacked into our surveillance system. Hurry up and get rid of it." The leader of the Tiger Claw gang in this stronghold quickly reacted when he saw this situation. This spontaneous combustion for no reason can be said to be a problem with the prosthetic body failure. But if a group of people start to spontaneously combust one by one, there must be a hacker. The younger brother of the Tiger Claw gang, who was not on fire, heard the elder brother's words and knocked out all the surveillance probes in their facility. Soon, everyone was safe and sound except for those Tiger Claw boys who had been set on fire by Lucy. Ye Fei, all the surveillance cameras in their building have been shut down. I can't continue hacking now. Hearing what Lucy said, Ye Fei nodded and said, "It's okay. You wait in the car now and leave the rest to us." As Ye Fei said that, they killed all the way in. Under the attack of the G58 Classic Smart Submachine Gun that Ye Fei bought at a high price, those Tiger Claw gang members who dared to show their heads were beaten to death. I'll go, Ye Fei. Your marksmanship is not bad. Did you spend a lot to buy this thing? You must know that although Kong Tao's weapons are easy to use, there's only one disadvantage. That is, they are expensive. And what Ye Fei bought was the enhanced version with better quality and faster fire rate, referred to as military-grade purple. Aiming well by yourself is not as fun as shooting casually without using your brain. When Ye Fei was playing FPS games in his previous life, he was always killed by Brother Swazi. Now that he is in the world of Cyberpunk, he still lets him aim? I haven't cheated in my previous life, but I came here to lock up Showery in this life. Ahem, what's wrong with exchanging shooting experience with the members of the Tiger Claw gang? Damn, I'm gonna make one for fun later on. Jack saw that Ye Fei could hit those Tiger Claw gang members who only showed a little bit of their body parts with random shots, which made him hungry. Inside the building, brother, 3 people came outside, and one of them was holding Kong Tao's smart submachine gun. The brothers outside couldn't stand it anymore. A boy with Shamit's rooster head ran up to the head of the stronghold and said, "Hachi, don't we also have the Shinjin of Ereban? What are you eating?" Hearing what the elder brother said, the younger brother was obviously aggrieved. After all, what they bought was only a few €100 of ordinary goods, which were not at the same level as the military-grade G58 in Ye Fei's hands. As long as their smart guns are not exposed too much, they can't be locked at all. On the other hand, Ye Fei's G58 can be locked by just showing a little part. How the hell do you fight? Boss. The weapon in that guy's hand is obviously a better military version. The brothers open the scoop on that thing as soon as they show their heads, and there is no way to fight it. The younger brother said, a little aggrieved, Baga, we are the warriors of the Tiger Claw Gang. Just a few bastards. Boom. No sooner had the boss finished speaking than Ye Fei blasted a grenade through their walls. Ye Fei, those guys outside are taken away by your treasure. Can you leave the rest of me? Jack looked at Ye Fei, who was firing vigorously in front of him, and said a little speechlessly, Did you just say you want to train them? As a result, now that I feel good about myself, I don't want to leave anyone for them, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Then you and V can deal with these guys. I'll go inside and bring that kid David out. Ye Fei put away the G58 and walked up the stairs. Boy, come out for me. Chop suey. I'm going to chop you into 8 pieces. The 2 younger brothers from the Tiger Claw Gang outside the office looked very annoyed at David sitting in the office. It's a pity that they don't have access control cards and the guns in their hands can't penetrate the door, so they can only be helpless and furious outside. They didn't know that the brothers outside had all been killed by Ye Fei, and even their boss probably had to meet their Amaterasu soon. Ye Fei moved directly behind the 2 of them, and before they could react, Ye Fei grabbed each of them with one hand, making their heads come into close contact. Of course, Ye Fei used a little bit of strength. The heads of the 2 people split open immediately. Well, split in every sense. Enough, David. How long are you going to stay in there? Ye Fei was also a little speechless to David, who was staying in the office. At least you have Sion Waystein. Just open the door and run out. And Ye Fei's actions scared David, who was in the office at once. Although he had just killed a person, David had never seen such a bloody scene. Vomit. All of a sudden, he vomited on the floor of the office. Chapter 44, adding a little something to him. Oh, come down immediately after you vomit. Ye Fei shook his head and glanced at David. The young man was still too young. If David could hear what Ye Fei said, he would definitely want to yell, Brother, if you kill these guys, kill them. You don't need to make them all over the floor, okay? Who can have no reaction? Ye Fei walked downstairs. Only the leader of the Tiger Claw Gang stronghold was left on the scene. Ye Fei, you said that these guys are weird enough. They yelled quite loudly when they asked the younger brother to die. When he came to me, he kowtowed to me and begged for mercy. Jack pointed to the trembling leader kneeling on the ground and said with disdain, You must know that many gang leaders in Night City need to show loyalty, but they must have the quality of daring to work hard. The guy in front of him yelled loudly when he asked his younger brother to resist, but when it came to him, he became greedy for life and afraid of death. Even if the little boss who knelt on the ground begged and begged could understand what Jack said, he didn't dare to refute. After all, only he and Ye Fei were left here. It wouldn't be shameful to beg for mercy with Ye Fei and the others. Anyway, those younger brothers died. It didn't take more than 5 minutes for Jack and V to kill those younger brothers, just now. But more than a dozen people were killed by Jack and V as if they were playing a game. It's just a small character. You can kill them directly. These neon people have no backbone. If you have bigger fists than him, he will naturally kneel down to you. Ye Fei is also full of disdain. Although he is not an angry youth, he still can't see these small days. Otherwise, he wouldn't move the axis and directly pick the stronghold of the Tiger Claw Gang. No. I'm not a small character. My father is Miyagawa Iris. I can give you money. A lot of money. Please let me go. Hearing Ye Fei's words, Miyagawa Hideo's face turned a little pale. His father was a core member of the Miyagawa Iris Tiger Claw Gang. How could he die in such a small place? If his father hadn't said that he would train him to gradually take over the affairs of the Tiger Claw Gang, if he had been sent here 2 days ago, he wouldn't have given up those luxury cars and villas to stay here with these low-class boys. I'll go. Miyagawa Iris? That pervert from the Tiger Claw Gang. Jack couldn't help but exclaim when he heard the name. Jack, do you know what this Miyagawa Iris is made of? Ye Fei asked. Although he liked to play Cyberpunk games in his previous life, he didn't dig into the relationship between the characters in it. Miyagawa Iris should be one of the few people he killed in the Hentang building when he was playing games in his previous life. I know, one of the big bosses of the Tiger Claw Gang, his status is about the same as that of a priest in Night City. Ye Fei, maybe we can make a fortune right now. Jack said slyly. That's right. I'm rich. As long as you let me go, I'll give you 100,000. No, 150,000. Hideo Miyagawa immediately responded when he heard that Jack had the idea of asking him to pay for his life. In his opinion, no matter how much money you have, no matter how high your status is, if you die, you are nothing. As long as he is alive, his father's status, as much money as you want. TSK, I didn't expect you to be so rich with such a frustrating look. Well, let me see how much you want to pay for your life. Remember, you only have one chance. Ye Fei did not agree to Miyagawa Hideo's request for 150,000 yuan to buy his life, but instead let him choose how much to spend to buy his life. This is a very smart choice. After all, 150,000 is definitely not his limit. Ye Fei wants to see how much money this guy can shell out. Hideo Miyagawa was stunned when he heard Ye Fei's words. He originally thought that he could directly knock out these damn mercenaries by paying a huge sum of 150,000 yuan. Life. FKU. The life I said is worth $1 million. Do you think I can get out? Miyagawa Hideo didn't know how many times he greeted Ye Fei and his family. You must know that 150,000 is already half of the cash he owns now. Generally speaking, if he has earned this money, even if he leaves Night City and travels around the world, there are plenty of places to go. I'll show you so much if it's okay. Hideo Mva gritted her teeth and transferred 300,000 euros to Ye Fei, which was already all the money he had here. No matter how much he had, he could only ask for it from Miyagawa Iris. But he wouldn't naively think that Ye Fei would give him a chance to contact his father. Hey, you have so much eyebrows and big eyes to hide so much. But forget it. For the sake of your generosity, I will spare you. Ye Fei frowned when he saw the 300,000 in the transfer. He didn't expect this guy to be able to carry 300,000 in the bank he carried with him. I'm afraid I didn't even have the money for a taxi. Thank you. Thank you. Hearing Ye Fei's words, Miyagawa Hideo finally breathed a sigh of relief and bowed and thanked Ye Fei again and again, as if Ye Fei had done him a great favor. Let's go. This boss spent a lot of money. Ye Fei gave Jack and V a wink, and Jack and V also nodded and put away their guns and left, just in time for David, who had recovered, to come down the stairs and took him with him along the way. TSK, we've made a lot of money this time, but Ye Fei, wouldn't you be afraid that he would retaliate against us if you let him go like this? After returning to the car, Jack started the car and asked Ye Fei. I said let him go today, but didn't say let him go tomorrow. Ye Fei frowned slightly, looked at Jack and said, then you are too troublesome. Why not kill him here? I downloaded 100 million small viruses in his program. Well, by this time tomorrow, he will be overloaded by his own program and die. Alas, the son of the poor Tiger Claw gang boss is going to die from a small. Ye Fei's words made Jack and David shudder a little. At the same time, they felt a little sympathetic to this young master. Chapter 45. Judy's surprise, sensing David and Jack's strange eyes. Ye Fei looked back at them. Why are you two looking at me like that? Nothing. It's okay, no problem. Hearing Ye Fei's question, David and Jack said that the big guy couldn't afford to provoke them, and both looked out the window. I said, Ye Fei, I'll let you steal some data. What do you mean by directly porting someone else's stronghold? Okada Kazuko looked at Ye Fei with a flat face in front of him very speechlessly, as if what he just took away was just a scavenger's nest, not a stronghold of the Tiger Claw gang. Higezi, I don't want to do that either. The young man in our team who just joined was discovered. Otherwise, the Tiger Claw gang stronghold must be fine. Ye Fei said with a rascal look. Seeing Ye Fei's indifferent look, Okada and Keiko were suddenly so angry that his teeth ached. Why did Ye Fei have nothing to do when she was working for other intermediaries, but she made such a big mess when she came here? Forget it. I will pay you your reward now. Thanks. Remember to find me next time you have a job. Obeson. Ye Fei walked out after finishing speaking. Only Okada Wakako with black lines all over his face was left in place. Ding Moses, I'm Okada Wakako. Who is it? Okada Wakako connected the phone. Okada, I know it's the mercenaries you're looking for. Tell me who they are. If you dare to mess with our Tiger Claw, Help me make him hungry." On the other end of the phone, a bald man shouted angrily. He had just received a call from his son, saying that their stronghold had been taken over by a few mercenaries, and they had blackmailed him 300,000 euros. Hearing these news, Miyagawa Iris was immediately so angry that he was about to suffer from high blood pressure. No mercenary from the Tiger Claw gang had dared to offend them like this in Night City for many years. Most of the strongholds were destroyed because of the direct battles of the big gangs, but the situation where 3 or 4 mercenaries directly took over the situation like today never happened. This is tantamount to telling those outsiders that the Tiger Claw gang is just a paper tiger, and even mercenaries can take away their strongholds. Suddenly, not only Miyagawa Iris, but another big brother in the gang, Xiaopa Weishin, was also angry endlessly. The 2 big bosses of the Tiger Claw gang decided to drive out Ye Fei and this group of mercenaries. Otherwise, the face of their Tiger Claw gang would basically become a pool of mud. After searching around, Miyagawa Iris found out that the initiator of this commission was Okada Wakako, so he called Okada Wakako for an explanation. "Look at what you said. I dare not entrust mercenaries to destroy your stronghold. It has nothing to do with me. Just hang up like this." Okada and Okako hung up the phone after finishing speaking. To be honest, although she was also very angry with Ye Fei and the others for destroying the Tiger Claw gang stronghold, these had nothing to do with her, but Miyagawa Iris was able to locate the commission from her. "Looks like there's a mouse around me." Okada Wakako looked outside her office, narrowing her eyes slightly. "Ritzbarug. David, stand up and play. Don't sit there like a gourd." Jack stood in the middle of the dance floor and danced with the hot girl next to him and shouted. David, on the other hand, sat in the booth a little cramped, not knowing where the cover was placed for a while. "I can only drink beer that I don't like one mouthful at a time." And Ye Fei has already gone to Judy's studio to record today's Chow Mein. "Ye Fei, did you go to the Chow Mein game studio yesterday?" Judy looked at Ye Fei, who had just finished recording Mute Woe, and asked. "Yeah, I perfected that Mute Woe game and bought that studio for a little money." Ye Fei did not deny it. After all, such things must not be hidden. "Ye Fei, you did this a little too fast, didn't you? You just made a complete body of that semi-finished Mute Woe game for them." "It's okay, I know a little about programming." Hearing Ye Fei's very pretending words, Judy was also speechless. Could this be something that can be done with just a little bit of programming? Even if the semi-finished Chow Mein game is made by her, a talented Chow Mein technical expert, it will definitely not work in 2 or 3 months. It just takes someone else's help to figure it out. Fortunately, Ye Fei came up with such a thing in a week. That's right. This morning, the Beyond Game Studio, which was renamed by Ye Fei, has already begun to sell the Chow Mein game Apex they created to the outside world. As an expert in Chow Mein, Judy naturally bought a copy. After playing it, she found that this game was the one that Ye Fei tried a week ago. After making a phone call and confirming with Philip, the chief designer of Beyond Game Studio, Judy knew that Ye Fei actually produced the complete version of the semi-finished Mute Woe game. "You hit it deep enough? Why don't you dash and come over and show me how to edit this super dream?" Seeing Ye Fei pretend, Judy took out a Chow Mein, which was more difficult to edit, and put it on the table and said, "Okay, let me take a look, but it may not be as good as your cut." After Ye Fei finished speaking, she stood beside Judy and started editing the super dream. A few minutes later, under Judy's astonished eyes, Ye Fei completed the difficult-to-edit Chow Mein. "Damn, if you come to cut Mute Woe, you will definitely be hotter than Jimmy Kurosaki." Looking at the perfectly edited Chow Mein in front of her, Judy couldn't help sighing. How can there be a person with such outrageous talent? Chapter 46 Reasonable, because I can't beat it. There is nothing wrong with Judy's thinking. After all, although Ye Fei's mercenary career is not yet the top, it must be the most famous mercenary rookie these days. And from the fact that he can perfect a Mute Woe game in a few days, it seems that Ye Fei's talent in making Mute Woe is much stronger than her. "It's okay, then I'll come back next time when I have good material." Ye Fei patted Judy on the shoulder and walked out of the studio. Ye Fei realized something was wrong when he reached the door. Just now he patted Judy on the shoulder, and Judy didn't point her Liz at his head? Never mind. Too lazy to think so much. Ye Fei went to find Jack and V. "Hey, Brat, Where did the Sinvestein on your body come from? I'm asking you something. As soon as Ye Fei walked to their booth, he saw a strong man much bigger than Jack shouting at David. FKU. Which onion are you? It's none of your business where other people's prosthetic bodies come from. Hearing Jack's words, man turned his head and glanced at him, then frowned and recognized Jack. Jack Wells, this matter should have nothing to do with you. Are you sure you want to meddle in your own business? Man didn't know that David joined Ye Fei's team. After all, David just joined today, so it's normal that the news didn't spread. So, in his opinion, Jack's current behavior is completely looking for trouble. I recognize you, man, right? You can be regarded as a relatively powerful figure among our mercenaries. It's a pity bullying a kid who has just started, and now it seems that you are like this. Jack has been a mercenary for several months, so he naturally recognizes man. In short, this matter is between me and this kid. Although you have become famous recently, I don't recommend fighting with you. Man looked at the pointing crowd around him and didn't want to compromise easily. He looked for Gloria for a day, but the other party didn't answer her calls, so he brought his own people to the Ritz bar for fun. In the end, he saw a young boy showing his prosthetic body to the girls in the bar. Man recognized at a glance that it was Huangban Tower, whom he had been thinking about day and night for the past 2 days. This thing is not a big commodity. Usually only 1 or 2 come out a year. I just paid for one the day before yesterday, and I saw it here today. It is obvious that this should be the Huangban Tower in Gloria's hand. But man couldn't figure out why this thing was on a kid. This led to the present scene. Don't be so angry. Can you sit down and talk slowly? Ye Fei walked over to Jack with a calm expression and said casually, FK, you really think I dare not touch you? Seeing Ye Fei's extremely plain look, man immediately became angry, and he could be considered a top-notch in the mercenary circle. Although Ye Fei and the others are very famous now, but they are trying to embarrass themselves like this? Immediately, he took out his weapon, and Dorio and Rebecca, who were standing beside man, also pointed their guns at Ye Fei. What are you doing? What are you doing? You guys have to fight out. Although the security guard at the bar didn't want to take care of this matter, but if he thought about it, if he didn't do it, the boss might want to pick his skin off. Whatever you fight, sit down and have a good talk, Brian. I can take care of things here and you go. When Ye Fei finished speaking, man and the others realized that Ye Fei had taken away all the guns in their hands, and Ye Fei put those guns on the bartender's side after speaking. And the security guard hurriedly left when he heard Ye Fei's words. Now, after all, Ye Fei is an old regular at the Ritz bar, and he is also very close to Judy. Hey, give me back my gun, UBD. Seeing her precious gun being taken away by Ye Fei, Rebecca shouted in dissatisfaction. Man, why don't we sit down and talk to them slowly? Dorio said with an ugly face beside man at this time. If Ye Fei had the ability to grab their guns directly, he also had the ability to kill them all in an instant. But now that Ye Fei has said that he wants to sit down and talk slowly, there may be some misunderstanding in the middle. Man's face changed again and again, and finally decided to reason with Ye Fei under the pressure of Ye Fei's absolute strength. I just wanted to ask that kid, where did the Synvestein on your body come from? Man looked eagerly at Huangban Tower on David's back and said. David got a little hairy from man's look and immediately put on his clothes. I found this prosthetic body from my mother's clothes, so it should have nothing to do with you. David explained. Wait, Mom, is your mom's name Gloria Martinez? You know my mother? Of course, she and I still have a cooperative relationship. The day before yesterday, she contacted me and said that there was a Huangban Tower to sell to me. I paid 20,000 euros, but he hasn't answered my call since contacting yesterday. Man frowned and said, he originally thought that Gloria was simply tricking him, but he didn't expect that this prosthetic body was installed on her son. I don't know about that. David was telling the truth, because Ye Fei saved David and Gloria and paid for the medical expenses in advance. So David never checked Gloria's account at all, so he didn't find out that his mother's account was too much 20,000 euros. Even if that's the case, how could you, a brat, put such a dangerous thing on your body? Your little body will go crazy after using it once or twice, right? Pilar, who was sitting on the side, pointed to David and said, I've used it 4 or 5 times today. After finishing speaking, David rushed out and snatched the cigarette from Pilar's hand and sat back. Now it's the sixth time. Oh, man is really crazy. Pilar was not only frightened every time, but also looked at man and laughed. Chapter 47. Ye Fei, who is popular with women man, ignored Pilar's words, but looked at David and said, I don't care what happened to Gloria. Anyway, I already paid for that prosthetic body. Or I'll pay you to dismantle it. Or I'll kill you and take it down. How about I go to the street and kill a violent terrorist mobile team and dismantle a Sion Waystand for you? Ye Fei said at this time, just kidding, Sion Waystein is not an ordinary prosthetic body. This thing is directly connected to the human nerves. If you can't get a prosthetic body of the same level or better, it will cause some permanent damage to that person if you remove it. Aren't you joking? Do you want to have a good talk after all? Man has nothing to do with this time. The pursuit of power is his belief. Even in the anime, where he already felt that he was going to suffer from cyberpsychosis, man was still unwilling to reduce the number of prosthetic bodies, and even wanted to install more powerful one's prosthetic body. It's very simple. David will return the money to you. That's it. If you don't want to, I have no other plan. David is now his subordinate, and he will not release the meat he eats. Well, I don't want more from you. Just forget about 20,000 euros. Seeing Ye Fei's attitude, man knew that he would definitely not be able to get the prosthetic body, but there was no way he could not be as strong as Ye Fei. To put it bluntly, it's not bad for Ye Fei to ask David to pay him back the money. Otherwise, he doesn't need to care so much at all. Turn on, David. Didn't you just give you 30,000 euros just now? Ye Fei patted the reluctant David next to him and said, I just blackmailed from Hideo Miyagawa. Ahem. The 300,000 to come. Ye Fei also gave David 30,000 euros, and he, Lucy, V, and Jack shared the rest of the money equally. After receiving the 20,000 euros transferred back from David, man's complexion improved a bit. Although he didn't get Sion Waystein, he didn't lose money anyway. Come on, shall we have a drink? Ye Fei raised a bottle of beer on the table at this time and said, his face was no longer cold but gentle. Man, we usually work in Santo Domingo. Man reintroduced himself. I heard. My name is Ye Fei. I just came to Night City not long ago. After Ye Fei finished speaking, he drank the wine in his hand in one gulp. Although his tone of voice was a bit rushed just now, he still admired man in his heart. The performance in the anime is also very reliable, and he will consciously protect his teammates. If he didn't end up with cyberpsychosis, he might become one of the legends of Night City. Hello, handsome guy. Is your name Ye Fei? My name is Rebecca. Ye Fei had just finished drinking a bottle of beer when a little girl sat beside him and poked Ye Fei's ribs with her elbow. Nice to meet you, Rebecca. Your gun is with the bartender. He'll give it to you when you leave. Ye Fei thought that Rebecca wanted to get his gun back, but he still underestimated the girl in Night City. Who said it was a gun? How about it? Shall we go out and have fun? Puff. Ye Fei was dumbfounded when he heard this, and immediately spit out the wine from his mouth. Ah, Rebecca, you're not like this usually. Seeing that Ye Fei was so frightened that he spit out the wine, Pilar laughed, and then looked at Lucy, who had been looking at Ye Fei. Pilar had noticed this beauty when she came here just now. She was much prettier than all the women he had ever seen, and immediately wanted to strike up a conversation. Shut up and take you. Rebecca blushed and scolded Pilar. When she saw Ye Fei just now, she was a little surprised. After all, she wanted to find a handsome prosthetic, and Night City men are no different from finding a needle in a haystack. It's just that man and Ye Fei still have conflicts, so they can only regard Ye Fei as an enemy first. Now that the problem is solved, it must be a conversation if you want to strike up a conversation. Ahem. Next time, I'm a little tired from work today. Ye Fei said, Okay, then this is my contact information. Remember to contact me when you are free. When Rebecca heard Ye Fei's refusal and did not suggest, she directly sent her phone number to Ye Fei. Ye Fei, you are really popular with women. Jack sat on the side and said sourly. First, both V and Lucy are interested in Ye Fei. Although they didn't say it, it is still obvious. There is also Judy, who has never given a man's contact information. And now, the little girl. Rebecca has a very good attitude towards Ye Fei. Although all he likes are women with good figures, It is quite enviable for a petite and cute girl like Rebecca to take the initiative to strike up a conversation. Beauty, what's your name? My name is Pilar, and I'm from Man's team. Would you like to have a drink? Pilar said to Lucy across the table at this time. Hearing Pilar's words, Lucy glanced at him, and then a blue light appeared in his eyes. Bark! Wow! Pilar was shocked by the electric current all of a sudden. Lucy was a little upset when she saw Rebecca strike up a conversation with Ye Fei. But now this perverted guy came to strike up a conversation with Lucy. Lucy directly took the other party as a punching bag, hacked into his system, and released a little electricity. Ha ha! Pilla, you guys, you dare to strike up a conversation with anyone, so you are deflated now. Dorio laughed out loud when she saw Pilar like this. Didn't you see that Lucy's eyes never left Ye Fei? This is obviously either Ye Fei's girlfriend or likes Ye Fei. In a little bit of comparison, Pilar and Ye Fei would choose Ye Fei for anyone. The same is true for V next to Lucy. Although he seems to be drinking, his eyes are actually staring at Ye Fei and never leave. FK Dorio, what are you gloating about? Pilar directly gave Dorio a middle finger. He didn't expect that this cold beauty would have such a temper. Today's last update. Thank you, readers, for the flower monthly tickets. Chapter 48, Something is Wrong. Would you like a drink for the beauty? Seeing that he failed to strike up a conversation with Lucy, Pilar set his sights on V. It can't be that everyone in Ye Fei's team has such a bad temper, right? Roll. V's tone was very flat, but unquestionable. And of course her eyes never set on Pilar's body. No, beauty, we just want to have a drink with you, so as not to... Before Pilar finished speaking, V directly took out the M76E Omaha that Ye Fei bought for her. Although this gun is not the epic pistol made in the game, it is also a pistol that Ye Fei paid a high price for. Bought from a member of the 6th Street gang. If you don't want her head to explode, I suggest you go drink with those dancing girls. Although V was smiling when he said this, his eyes were extremely cold. Pilar didn't dare to bet on whether V would dare to blow his head off, and immediately nodded in agreement. Ha ha, Pilar, your habit of casually flirting with beautiful women is still the same, you. Man, who was drinking next to him, also laughed out loud when he saw this scene. Pilar, an old pervert, likes to strike up a conversation with a prettier girl. He always said some very cold, dirty jokes, and now seeing him deflated can make man fly with joy. Tisich, it's because those beauties didn't notice my bright spot. Pilar still put his middle finger in front of man and said with a bit of a dead mouth. 2 hours later, okay, that's all for today. It's time to go home and sleep. Ye Fei stretched and said, oh, why? Let's go have another drink. Rebecca, who was having a good time chatting with Ye Fei, became unhappy when she heard Ye Fei say that she was going home. When she was chatting with Ye Fei could pick up the words no matter what she said. This greatly increased Rebecca's affection for Ye Fei, and she almost went home with Ye Fei tonight. Next time, I'm a little sleepy after getting 2 commissions in a row today. Ye Fei patted Rebecca's shoulder and said gently, okay, then you have to remember to call me. Make sure to call me. Seeing that Ye Fei still had to go home, Rebecca said with some reluctance, Pilar, let's go to the next place for a refill together. Jack got along with Pilar for some reason, and at this moment, he was hooking shoulders with him like 2 old friends who hadn't seen each other for many years. Okay, Jack. Hey, Rebecca, you go back by yourself first. Jack and I are going to drink at the next point. After Pilar finished speaking, he walked out of the Ritz bar with Jack shoulder to shoulder. David, I'll go see Gloria tomorrow too. I haven't seen her for a while, but you're lucky enough to meet Ye Fei. Man said, smoking a cigarette. Ahem, yes. Meeting Brother Yi is indeed the luckiest thing for me. David also explained to Man in the past 2 hours why Gloria didn't contact Man and how she got on Ye Fei's lap. Okay, see you tomorrow. Just send me the address when the time comes. Man waved his hand and took Dorio out of the bar. On the way home, Ye Fei was sitting in the back row, looking at V and Lucy in front. He felt something was wrong from the moment he got in the car. Originally, Ye Fei was going to sit in the co-pilot habitually, but as soon as he opened the door, Lucy said a faint thank you and got in the car. And V was even more extreme. After getting in the car, he started the car without waiting for Ye Fei. If Ye Fei didn't run so fast and open the car door and got in, maybe you would have to walk home now. After getting in the car, Ye Fei wanted to say something to ease the atmosphere, but Lucy and V chatted happily in front of them. It's as if Ye Fei is a transparent person. Ye Fei, that. V. Ye Fei, the two of us are chatting. Please don't disturb us. Lucy, you shouldn't be interested in topics between girls, are you? Ye Fei. This weird atmosphere was maintained all the way home. Still, V went to take a shower first, leaving Lucy and Ye Fei in the living room. Good evening, residents of Night City. Today's Dead Man's Lottery. Although the host on TV was talking passionately, Ye Fei had no interest in watching TV at all. Lucy was sitting at the other end of the sofa with her computer in her arms, typing codes silently. Lucy, Ye Fei called out tentatively. Lucy ignored it and continued typing codes on the computer keyboard. Ye Fei sat beside Lucy and held Lucy's hand. What's the matter with you and V? I feel that something is wrong after you came out of the bar. Ye Fei has actually guessed why Lucy and V are angry now, but he still has to ask knowingly. Nonsense at this time. If you say that you understand it well, wouldn't it be worse to die? After Lucy's hand was held by Ye Fei, her whole body trembled, followed by silence. In fact, she didn't understand why, but she saw that Rebecca basically spent 2 hours chatting with Ye Fei in the bar and then drinking. Seeing Ye Fei and Rebecca talking and laughing happily, Lucy felt a little uncomfortable. But I can't tell what kind of strange feeling it is. Lucy has never had this strange feeling since she was born. I felt a little itchy in my heart, but I didn't know what to say, and my mind was in a mess. I don't know either. Ye Fei's gentle face and extremely gentle tone immediately made Lucy a little confused. Today's first update. Thank you, readers, for the monthly past flowers. Chapter 49. Araban Ninja silence. For a while, Lucy looked at Ye Fei again and said softly, Ye Fei, do you want to go for a night run? Of course, Can. Ye Fei smiled heartily. Clatter in the bathroom. V is still taking a shower. Huh? Why is the shampoo delivered by the robot in green packaging today? Forget it. It could be used. V glanced at the shampoo in the green package in the bathroom and was a little curious, but he continued to take a shower without saying anything. She wants to teach Ye Fei a lesson tonight. In a square park not far from Ye Fei's home, Lucy said she wanted to run at night, but she actually took Ye Fei for a walk. Obviously, I had the experience of running and exercising at night with Ye Fei a few days ago, but today I have no intention of running at night at all. Just walking aimlessly in the park with Ye Fei. Lucy, you've been looking sullen from the very beginning. Is it something I did wrong? Ye Fei still said very considerately. Of course, he has now naturally held Lucy's little hand. I'm not unhappy. I just feel that something is wrong with me. Something's wrong? Can you tell me? Seeing Lucy's bewildered face, Ye Fei couldn't bear it, but finally held back. After all, if this kind of problem can't be solved now, wouldn't he want to give up his important people? This is something he can't bear. His wish is to give these girls a home. At this time, Ye Fei suddenly sensed that there was danger in the rear. At an extremely fast speed, Ye Fei turned his head and saw several men in black suits appearing behind him with guns. Araban Ninja? Ye Fei raised his brows. He hasn't gone to the Huangban to steal the chip yet. Why is the Huangban getting into his trouble now? And Lucy next to Ye Fei's face lost all color in an instant. She ran out of a deserted hacker base. Didn't these people come to arrest her? 2. There are important people in our company who want to meet with you. Can you come with us? An Arata ninja, with obvious signs of transformation all over his body, walked up to Ye Fei and said. The 2 modified eyes were filled with red light, and they looked Ye Fei up and down. It was obvious that he was scanning Ye Fei. Ms. Abernathy, we have scanned the target's body and confirmed that there are no traces of prosthetic body transformation. Aragata Ninja just stood in front of Ye Fei and reported the situation to Abernathy, who was talking to him. Very good. Bring him back. It's best not to hurt him. If it doesn't work, use coercive means. Abernathy on the other end of the phone ordered. In order to mobilize this team of barbarian ninjas, she has used the highest authority as the leader of the intelligence department. If she can't bring back Ye Fei, she may be severely hit by her competitors. You ugly bastards changed to this bee and still want to arrest people? Ye Fei has now hacked into the system of the Aragaban ninja in front of him and burned his brain without talking too much nonsense with him. The Eridan ninja in front of him could only let out a scream, and then his head burst into sparks and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, the remaining Araban ninjas hiding in the dark took out their prosthetic mantis knives and rushed towards Ye Fei. Lucy, you hide by the side first. I'll take a walk with you later. After Ye Fei finished speaking, he ran to the two Arban ninjas who appeared. He wanted to see if the Arban ninjas in this world were as brave as in the game, and they dared to interrupt her date with Lucy, which annoyed Ye Fei very much. FKU, you dare to disturb Lao Tzu's good business? Wait until you see hell. When Lucy left, Ye Fei gave these wild ninjas a dangerous look. The ghost knows how good the atmosphere was just now. It was all disturbed by these damn guys. Swish! Ye Fei's figure disappeared directly in place. Arida Ninja quickly activated his prosthetic eyes to try to find Ye Fei's location. And the current Ye Fei has been baptized by the sun for a week, and it is already stronger than the Ye Fei a week ago. Now, if Ye Fei wants to be photographed by any surveillance system in the world, even if it is a military-grade surveillance system, while the two Arabord ninjas were still searching for Ye Fei had quietly appeared behind one of the Arabord ninjas. Crack! Ye Fei also grabbed the guy's two arms without hesitation. Ye Fei didn't care about the mantis knife in the arm of this Aragaban ninja at all, since it couldn't cut his skin at all anyway. Then he put a foot on the back of the Arabord ninja, and with a sudden force, the Arabord ninja was separated from his arm. After rubbing on the ground for 2 meters, the face of the Aragaban ninja showed a hideous mechanical face, and the brain under the mechanical shell could be vaguely seen, and the place where his two arms were broken didn't even flow out of blood. Just there was some black oil flowing. Hey, good guys, don't you even know how to bleed? Ye Fei exclaimed immediately when he saw this scene. Although he had known for a long time that these barbarian ninjas had been transformed to a high degree, he did not expect them to be transformed into this. Another Araman ninja saw this scene and didn't hesitate at all. The group of ninjas said they were ninjas, but in fact they were dead servants trained by Saburo Arida. Cut to Ye Fei. Ding! The imagined image of the sharp blade piercing the flesh did not appear, and Ye Fei took the full blow of the Arida ninja without evading it. At this time, such a Baron ninja started to swing the mantis knife crazily at Ye Fei. But Ye Fei just stood still and let him chop at will. Have you done it well? This level is not even considered tickling. Ye Fei yawned and looked at the barbarian ninja playfully. To be honest, he couldn't even feel the attack of these guys. The second update, there will be a third update later. Please ask for some flower comment tickets. Chapter 50, Araban's Assist Ugh. Seemingly sensing the contempt in Ye Fei's words, the barbarian ninja couldn't help roaring angrily. Boom! A sniper shot sounded 300 meters away. Ye Fei turned his head and took the powerful kinetic energy bullet that had been charged for 5 seconds with one hand. Nanny! Impossible! The Arigata ninja, who has always been inhumane, couldn't help being surprised. The Tsunami Cat in his hand is an advanced military-style sniper rifle. He wouldn't be surprised if Ye Fei dodged the bullet, but would continue to shoot Ye Fei. But now Ye Fei directly took the sniper bullet that he had stored energy for 5 seconds. To put an exaggeration, even if the heavy hammer took the bullet head-on, it would not feel good. And Ye Fei not only caught it, but also caught it with one hand, just like catching a sandbag thrown by a child. Boom! There was a loud noise in the office of the head of Arabanta's intelligence department. This is impossible. Abernathy was shocked when he saw the video sent back from the Eridan ninja prosthetic eye. It would be fine if Ye Fei's speed and strength far surpassed the prosthetic body. The cat and the bullet charged by the sniper rifle are not a concept at all. They have calculated with internal data that this kind of military-grade Maoyu sniper rifle can penetrate the best 5-centimeter alloy steel plate that they made themselves. Ye Fei caught the bullet like this, not just a simple matter of strength, but his physical strength has also reached a terrifying level. To put it bluntly, if Ye Fei wants to break into the Huangban Tower now, They must have Arban's latest military-grade machine guns in their hands. Let's not talk about whether they can get so many weapons of that level from Huangban's huge order. Even if they get it, they may not necessarily pose a threat to Ye Fei. Hurry up and retreat. The target has completely exceeded expectations and needs to be reported to Saburo Arama. Abernathy now realizes what a terrible guy she has offended. Her usual thought is to look down on mercenaries, but now she can't guarantee that if Ye Fei knows that it is the wild ninja she ordered. Maybe I will be hung at the door of the Huangban Tower the next day. The Baron Ninja, who was more than 300 meters away from Ye Fei, heard Abernathy's order and hurriedly put away his sniper rifle and prepared to run away. "Where are you going?" When Ye Fei's voice came, the Huangban Ninja was taken aback for a moment, then directly stretched out his prosthetic hand cannon with his backhand, wanting to shoot Ye Fei. Then Ye Fei chopped off his arm with a knife. "I don't care who you are. If you dare to provoke me, you will die." After Ye Fei finished speaking, he directly punched the head of the Huangban Ninja. Then Ye Fei fell into thinking. Who sent Arida Ninja? Abandoned Lai Xian? Or Arida Hanako? Or Michiko Arida, whom I have never seen before? He obviously hadn't shown his face to Arban. Why did the other party stare at him? Forget it. Since Huangban dares to attack first and turn around, I must let them know what it means to turn the world upside down. Ye Fei didn't bother to think too much about it, but what was certain was that Saburo Arida, the core figures of Arida, probably didn't know his existence. Otherwise, today should not be as simple as these three barbarian ninjas. It may have to be Adam Heavy Hammer himself. It's just that he is not afraid of Adam's hammer at all now. Ye Fei. When Ye Fei appeared in front of Lucy, Lucy hugged Ye Fei when she saw that Ye Fei was safe and sound. Then he began to check whether there was any wound on Ye Fei's body. "What are you doing, Lucy? Those Huangban ninjas are no match for me." Ye Fei looked at the nervous Lucy with some dumbfounding and said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have kept it from you, I'm sorry." Lucy held Ye Fei with tears in her eyes and kept saying sorry. She thought it was because of herself that Huangban sent the appalling dead warriors, Arida ninjas, to capture Ye Fei and her. What are you sorry for? Because of those Arida ninjas? Ye Fei also couldn't figure it out for a while. After all, the target of those barbarian ninjas was himself, so maybe Ye Fei might have caused Lucy to be discovered. Lucy pursed her lips and then pulled Ye Fei to a corner of the park. Turning his back to Ye Fei, he raised his hair, revealing the deep network interface on the back of his head. "I used to be an orphan brought out by Arida from the orphanage." Sitting on a bench in the park, Lucy leaned on Ye Fei's shoulder and put his arm around him, telling stories about her past. After a few minutes, Lucy finished talking about her past, leaning on Ye Fei's shoulder without saying a word. If it were Lucy a week ago, she would have left Ye Fei now. After all, she knew that no one was willing to fight against Arba Group. This is equivalent to giving yourself a death notice. After all, in this world where companies are bigger than countries, the Arba Group is one of the largest companies in the world, and it is even more irrational than fighting against their country. But now Lucy has some small expectations in her heart, hoping that there will be someone who can fight against Arida for her. The sense of security and reliability that Ye Fei gave her made her want to become greedy and yearn for the days around Ye Fei. So what? Ye Fei's hand gently stroked Lucy's face and said, "Even if it's Huangban Company, I can't compare with you in my heart. You are the woman I like." Ye Fei's words were like a bomb exploded in Lucy's heart. Tears could not stop flowing from Lucy's eyes again. To be honest, Lucy was as erratic as a duckweed during the years of wandering outside. Even if she had the wish to go to the moon, it was just a wish. Now that she heard Ye Fei's words, Lucy couldn't help it. "Do you have something to rely on yourself?" Ye Fei. Then Lucy held Ye Fei's face in both hands, looked at Ye Fei with blurred eyes, and then gave him her fiery kiss. Chapter 51. Good progress. After a few minutes, Lucy, who was flushed all over, let go of Ye Fei, and Ye Fei's face was similar. To be honest, although I have lived for more than 20 years, Ye Fei is still just a one-handed dog. Before time travel, he was just the kind of person who likes to watch videos on the internet. Unlike those guys who are veterans in time travel and have met many women, This is the first time he has had such intimate contact with a girl. Rao has a superhuman brain and can't handle this unprecedented situation. In other words, Ye Fei feels like his CPU is going to burn. It's just that even so, Ye Fei was responding to Lucy instinctively just now, and his hands must have been a little rough. How do you say that? Ye Fei looked at the flushed Lucy in his arms with a half smile and said, "Snapped." Lucy's response was a weak punch. The current Lucy is basically a little girl, which is completely different from the iceberg beauty in the bar. If you make fun of me again, I will hack your system. Lucy didn't know what threat to use for a while, so she simply said the least threatening thing to threaten Ye Fei. Ye Fei was a little dumbfounded. Hacking into the system? To be honest, if Ye Fei didn't control himself to create an anti-hacking system when he had nothing to do before, Lucy probably would burn his brain to a pulp just after encountering Ye Fei's system. All right. I won't make fun of you. Can you tell me what you and V have been talking about these days? Ye Fei said, coaxing a child, and then asked a question that even he was a little confused about. In the past few days, V and Lucy went shopping whenever they had time and often hid on the second floor to whisper when they got home. Out of politeness, Ye Fei didn't eavesdrop. No matter what, this is reality. It's not that game. V and Lucy both need privacy. Besides, wouldn't it be boring if you knew everything? A good relationship is to maintain a certain distance and mystery. In his previous life, he saw that most of the couples who had been in love for a long time broke up because they didn't have any secrets. If they were too familiar, they would lose the passion for dating. Sorry, I can't say it right now. Lucy's face was a little tangled, but she shook her head. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't say it. Let's go home now. Seeing that Lucy didn't want to say Ye Fei and didn't continue to ask, she stood up and took Lucy's hand and walked towards the apartment. Lucy didn't look like she just came to the park. She just held hand with Ye Fei. Instead, he held Ye Fei's arm and leaned on Ye Fei's shoulder. It was early in the morning when Ye Fei returned home, and the first thing they saw when they entered the door was V sitting on the sofa watching TV. "You haven't slept yet, V?" Ye Fei asked. "Well, I can't sleep and watch TV. Where did you two go at night?" V replied with blank eyes, with a forced smile on his face. Looking at V, who had the same expression as the sickly eyes with no light in his eyes when he was watching anime, Ye Fei couldn't help swallowing. Then he took out the supper bought not far from the apartment and put it on the table in the living room and said with a very calm face, "V, Lucy and I just went out for a night run, and we had a little supper by the way, and I brought you some a little. Really, just eat after supper. Is it difficult to wait for me to take a bath?" V saw Ye Fei's supper on the table, and Lucy standing behind Ye Fei with a normal face, and he didn't suspect anything and started eating supper. "Hey, Mr. Yi, I'm Dexter Sean. I have a big deal, and I want to talk to you. Return my call when you're free." Ye Fei just woke up and saw a message. "Hee, is it still here that should come?" Ye Fei looked at the message with a smile. This fat black man dared to kill his V in the game. Although it is said that there is a relic chip to revive V, it can't erase what Dexter Sean gave V. Headshot to the fact. This time it was him who threw this guy into the dump. Dexter Sean is one of the best brokers in town, and he knows everything that goes on in Night City like the back of his hand. His intuition was as sharp as that of a professional killer. There were rumors in Night City before that if anyone could take over the business from Dex, his mercenary career would surely flourish in the future. Unfortunately, this order will completely drive Dexter into the abyss of eternal doom. Ye Fei glanced at Jack's phone and connected directly. "Ye Fei, I gave her contact information to a guy named Dexter Sean, who used to be the go-between for Night City to be on par with Rog, and now he says he has a big deal for us to talk about." Although Jack was still a little excited in his words, he was not as happy as in the game. After all, their team can be regarded as a respectable person in Night City now, and they have received many orders from top intermediaries. Although Dexter Sean used to be an intermediary who could sit on an equal footing with Queen Rog, but he left Night City for a year before returning, and now he is only an intermediary at the same level as Priest and Wakako. "Well, I have received his message, and I will contact him later." Ye Fei said, "Okay, talk to him about everything. If even he thinks it's a big deal, we should make a lot of money this time." Jack said. After hanging up the phone, Ye Fei unhurriedly went to the kitchen to make breakfast. Lucy and Vi also got up during this time. After eating and drinking enough, Ye Fei said to the two women, "Vi, Lucy, I'm going to make a list later. If you have something to do, you could just talk about it. Lucy and I are waiting for your news at home." Lucy nodded after Vi finished speaking. Today's fourth chapter, the author is still not very good at writing these plots. Chapter 52. Dexter Sean. Ye Fei walked out of the apartment and called Dexter. "Yo, Mr. Ye Fei, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dexter Sean." A black man with dreadlocks and a big beard appeared on the contact interface. "Well, I know you, the middleman who can be equal to Rog in Night City," Ye Fei said in a cold tone. That's all in the past tense. I'm just a middleman who has just started. How about it? Do you want to accept my commission, Mr. Yi?" Although Dexter didn't know why Ye Fei's tone was so cold, but he didn't suggest it. Business is the most important mercenary, not your family's attitude. He doesn't care. "Since I have already called you, do you think I can answer it?" Ye Fei asked back. "Ha. It's refreshing, Mr. Yi. I'll give you an address. Come here and find me." After finishing speaking, Dexter sent Ye Fei a location. It's less than a minute. Ye Fei directly used the super speed and ran all the way from the valley area to the Gramsci Burger restaurant in the location. Maybe Ye Fei's speed was too fast. Ye Fei didn't see Dexter's luxury car. After waiting for a few minutes, Ye Fei saw Dexter's luxury car driving into this somewhat messy alley and got out of the car with a burly man who looked capable of fighting. Ye Fei walked over, and the bodyguard was obviously stunned for a while. He naturally recognized Ye Fei. Just now his boss told Ye Fei that it might take about half an hour to get here, so he got out of the car and waited. It turned out that Ye Fei was faster than them. It's just that the bodyguard didn't say much. Since Ye Fei came, just opened the door for him to talk to his boss. The bodyguard opened the door. Inside, Dexter was closing his eyes and resting, only to hear the sound of the car door opening. "Didn't I tell you to wait for Ye Fei to come and open the door?" Dexter's voice was a little harsh, and he thought the bodyguard had something to say to him. "Boss, Mr. Yi has arrived." The bodyguard's voice stunned Dexter directly. He has investigated. Ye Fei lives in the Haywood Valley area apartment, and the current time is not the time for Ye Fei to travel normally. So even if he gave Ye Fei the address, he still felt that Ye Fei would arrive within half an hour. So he decided to close his eyes and rest for a while. Immediately, Dexter adjusted his state, although he didn't know why Ye Fei arrived so soon. Because it doesn't matter, come early and talk about it early. "Hello, you're the famous Ye Fei, Mr. Yi." After Ye Fei got into the car and finished, Dexter greeted Ye Fei. "Well, Dexter Sean, I recognize you, one of the top middlemen in Night City, and only Rog, Queen of the Afterlife, can be your equal." Ye Fei has a smile on his face. Isn't just business bragging? He doesn't know these people yet. No, I've just returned to Night City, and I'm just a small middleman just getting started. Dexter Sean felt a little flustered when he heard Ye Fei's flattery, but he was hypocritically humble. He wouldn't say he quit Night City for a year without fighting Rog. "Let's drive," Dexter said to the driver. Then he glanced at Ye Fei in front of him with great interest. Just like the rumors, Ye Fei didn't have that kind of transformation marks on his body, and unlike those mercenaries he had worked with before, he didn't have that kind of bloodthirsty on his body. Temperament. On the contrary, he looked like an ordinary good student, but he had heard of it. Yesterday, Ye Fei made a big fuss in a stronghold of the Tiger Claw gang and directly killed the people inside, leaving only a small leader. He would not naively think that such a person is a good stubble. Hearing what his boss said, the driver also slowly started the car. "Before I talk to Mr. Yi about my business, I want to ask you a question," said Dexter, smoking his cigar. "Appreciate further details." Of course, Ye Fei knew what Dexter was going to say. "My question is very simple. Do you want to be an unknown person, live in peace and stability for the rest of your life, and when you get old, lie on a hospital bed with a catheter inserted, or do you want to become a legend and go down in history, even if you don't live 30 years old?" Dexter said, "Both of your options are for me." Ye Fei shook his head. This is very novel. Mr. Yi, can you tell me which choice is suitable for you?" Dexter also raised his eyebrows curiously, looking at Ye Fei to hear what he had to say differently. "The choice that suits me is to become a legend in this world, and to live peacefully until the end of my life." Of course, it is a healthy one. Ye Fei's answer immediately made Dexter laugh out loud. Ha ha, Mr. Yi is indeed different from those ignorant guys. When I ask other mercenaries, they don't think about other questions at all. Really? Maybe it's because their abilities can only go there. Ye Fei shrugged. Most of the mercenaries in Night City were guys who hadn't even read a lot of books, so they didn't have any cultural background. He was also a student of a key university in his previous life, so it's normal to be able to speak noble words. It's just that, Mr. Dexter, I really want to ask you with the question you just asked. Would you choose to be famous in history or remain unknown? Ye Fei knew that this Dexter was afraid of death, and the first thing he did when he got into trouble with Huangban was to kill him and run away. It's just that he wanted to see what answer this guy could give. Chapter 53 Conversation with Dexter. Mr. Yi, you're the first person to ask me back with my question. Dexter burst out laughing when he heard Ye Fei ask this question. He hasn't met such an interesting person for a long time. Of course, I want to engrave my name, Dexter Sean, on every corner of Night City. Dexter Sean said confidently. You better have that thought. Ye Fei sneered in his heart. This fat man wanted to be famous in history without paying any price. It was wishful thinking. So that's it. Then I have another question to ask you. Ye Fei nodded and said, Mr. Yi, if you have something to say, I think we hit it off very well. Why are you looking for mercenaries like us who have just arrived in Night City? I think there should be other mercenaries with greater reputation and experience. Hearing Ye Fei's question, Dexter's expression lightened a little, and then he began to speak. Mr. Ye Fei, you also know that as middlemen, we generally earn money for both sides. We will turn the needs of those in need into commissions, and then pass these commissions to you mercenaries. After completing the commission, those in need people will pay us, and we will take part of it as a commission, and the rest will be given to you mercenaries. Although there are veteran mercenary forces in Night City, and there are quite a few famous ones, none of them meet the conditions of my entrustment. Dexter shook his head when he said this, then pointed to Ye Fei and said, And you, Ye Fei, why did Mr. Yi meet the conditions for my entrustment this time? I've seen Xiaoming about you. From it, I can feel Mr. Ye's potential and strength, as well as your leadership ability. I also know Jack, but he's good at using knives and guns, but his brain is not very good. As his team leader, whether you rescued people from the Whirlpool gang or the company dog you caught last time, the following the tale is wiped clean, which is what I need. For an excellent, powerful, and intelligent mercenary like you, I don't think any of the middlemen in Night City would not want to see you. As the top intermediary in Night City, Dexter is very smart. Every time he entrusts him with the selection of mercenaries, he will choose carefully and strive to complete the task perfectly. And the ability he is most proud of is the ability to deal with all kinds of people, whether it is up to the company's executives or down to the most trashy mercenaries. He will not easily offend anyone. After all, in Night City, you never know whether the person you offended will become a legend in Night City tomorrow. From what Dexter said, it seemed that he had completely confessed to Ye Fei, but in fact, he didn't reveal any information. If Ye Fei didn't know this guy well, maybe he would really give him a good one. Bewildered by words and flattery. Is that so? It seems that Mr. Dexter knows my situation very well. Ye Fei said with a smile. No, this is just a little thought of my humble one. So, Mr. Yi, what's your answer? Dexter shook his head modestly and then asked, It is of course my wish to cooperate with a smart person like Mr. Dexter. I have accepted this task. Hearing Ye Fei's answer, Dexter immediately stretched out a hand and said, Then wish us a happy cooperation. Pleasant cooperation. Although he didn't want to, Ye Fei reluctantly shook hands with the fat black man. Since Mr. Yi has accepted my task, I'll talk to you about the business first. Now that he has formed a cooperation with Ye Fei, Dexter didn't hide anything and immediately took out a chip and handed it to Ye Fei. This is Arbin's latest technology, a prototype technology biochip. Your task this time is to get him out, said Dexter, smoking a cigar. Ye Fei already knew what this guy wanted to do, but he still exclaimed in surprise, Dexter, are you thinking about something that is out of reach? That's right. It is precisely because I want to use the goods of Huangban Company that I can find such an excellent mercenary as Mr. Yi. But I think this matter should not be too difficult for Mr. Yi. Mr. Dexter, you have to know that this wasteboard company is the land emperor of Night City. If you offend them, Ye Fei stopped talking halfway through. Ha ha ha. Mr. Ye Fei, you still have to worry too much. Since I dare to touch the things of Huangban Company, then I must be sure to wipe my clean. Besides, there's an old saying in Huagua that you can't enter the tiger's den. Cubs, as long as Mr. Ye's work is clean enough, there won't be any problems. Dexter said confidently. Maybe, then tell me about your plan. Ye Fei nodded. Before the official start, I still have a small matter that Mr. Yi needs to deal with. Dexter said, what do you think? You must be familiar with the Uzumaki gang, Mr. Yi. 2 weeks ago, the Uzumaki gang robbed a batch of goods shipped out of the convoy by the military technology company. It was the Uzumaki gang's people who did it. Of course, the group of SBs in the company didn't know about it. In this batch, there is a key item for our mission, a small combat robot called Xiaoping 2, a prototype machine, the latest high-end military technology. Originally, I bought a small flathead from the Whirlpool gang, but because of you, Mr. Yi, something went wrong. When Dexter said this, the expression on his face became a little subtle. Chapter 54. Jack's new prosthetic body. My question? Mr. Dexter can eat indiscriminately, but he can't talk indiscriminately. Ye Fei pretended to be surprised and said, of course, Mr. Yi, I'm not blaming you. It's just that the boss of the Maelstrom gang I traded with was a guy named Blake. I spent money to buy a small flathead from him before. I'd already paid for it, so I just had to get the goods. Coincidentally, Bryke, the unlucky guy, turned against you, Mr. Yi, and died. Now the boss of the Whirlpool gang has changed. It's a guy named Luo EC, who is said to be Brake's good brother, good buddy. Now he doesn't want to admit to us. Of course, there's also a woman named Meredith Stout, who is in charge of the company's fleet transportation. Right now, they are searching the entire city for the person who attacked their convoy. I think Mr. Yi can take advantage of this. After finishing speaking, Dexter smoked a cigar and waited for Ye Fei's reply. Okay, I'll settle this matter, and tell me the rest if you have something to do. Ye Fei said it was perfectly fine. Well, there is another key person in this operation, Miss Evelyn Parker. I will arrange for you to meet Miss Parker after Mr. Yi settles the matter of Xiaoping 2. Okay, that's it. Let me get off here first. After speaking, the driver stopped at the same spot, and Ye Fei opened the door and walked out. The vehicle restarted, and after driving far away, the driver in the car said with some displeasure, Boss, the kid you are looking for is too crazy. He dares to ask you a question. Will there be any problems if he is asked to do this? Don't worry, he's a smart guy. Maybe we will have a chance to cooperate with him in the future, of course. If he does things too recklessly, even the Whirlpool gang can make him have a good drink. Dexter looked confident. Ye Fei first called Jack after getting off the car. How do you say, Ye Fei? Have you talked with Dexter Sean? Jack asked nervously when he received a call from Ye Fei. Everything is settled. Didn't you ask Lao Wei to help you find a pair of gorilla arms a few days ago? Lao Wei just sent me a message saying that he found it. Let me tell you. What? That's great. I can't FG wait for a gorilla arm. Jack is a person who likes boxing, and he also met Victor in the boxing ring. With his physical strength, he barely beat the experienced Lao Wei. After earning enough money from entrusting a few days ago, Jack has already asked Lao Wei to find a pair of better quality gorilla arms. Well, let's meet at Lao Wei's clinic later. After Ye Fei finished speaking, he hung up the phone and then called Lucy and V, telling them to go to Lao Wei's clinic. When calling David, something was wrong. Hello, Brother Yi. I have something to do here, and it's not convenient to answer the phone. I'll call you back later, okay? David's voice was very small, as if he was whispering to him. David, I'm asking you something. I fell into a coma for a day. Why did you become a mercenary? Gloria's voice came from David, and David hung up the phone. Ye Fei didn't have any special thoughts, but just felt like laughing. Come on, let's go find David later. Lao Wei's prosthetic body clinic. Ye Fei just came to the prosthetic body clinic and saw Misty, who was a little out of her mind. Misty did a fortune-telling calculation with tarot cards this morning and saw some unknown endings with bad imagery. Hey, Misty, I'm here to see Lao Wei, so I won't chat with you. Ye Fei greeted Misty and prepared to go inside. Ye Fei, do you have a very dangerous commission recently? Seeing that Ye Fei was about to enter the clinic, Misty hurriedly stopped Ye Fei. Ye Fei looked at Misty with a strange look in his eyes. How can this tarot card be so effective after it is out of the game? Well, there are some risks in this entrustment, but that's nothing to be afraid of. Ye Fei replied a little casually. After all, this mission does not have any risks for him. And if there are risks, it is only the risks that Jack and V will have. Misty also breathed a sigh of relief when she heard Ye Fei's words. After all, Misty had heard about Ye Fei's ability from Jack more than once. If even Ye Fei said that the risk of entrusting this time is not very high, then there shouldn't be any major problems. Ye Fei, actually, I've always disliked Jack's job as a mercenary. This kind of business involves sticking his head to his waistband and licking blood every day. It's really too dangerous. But he didn't listen to my advice at all and kept saying that if he didn't become a mercenary, he couldn't become a legend in Night City, and he couldn't give me a better life and a more luxurious wedding. I know what Jack wants to give me. It's all the best, but I don't want him to have an accident because of it. Misty's face was full of concern. Misty, don't worry. I'll take good care of him. Jack will be fine. Ye Fei said it seriously, but Ye Fei felt something strange. Didn't Misty only say these words in the game when she was on the stage at the end? Why is Misty talking these words to Ye Fei now? I'm relieved to hear you say that. Victor is installing the prosthetic body on Jack, and it should be almost ready now. Misty glanced at the time and said. Ye Fei didn't say much, walked to the door of Victor's clinic, and pulled open the iron door. You're here? Ye Fei, how about this pair of babies that Victor made for me? These are military-grade gorilla arms. So FG awesome. Jack was fixed on the operating chair, pouted, and pointed at the gorilla arm lying aside. Jack, if you want to press this thing properly, you'd better not move or talk. Ye Fei, you can sit anywhere. Victor looked at Jack, who was still moving around on the operating chair, and said something with a frown. Looking at Jack's arm disassembled by Victor, Ye Fei was also a little curious. The various precision parts and bones exposed inside seemed to be quite new. Chapter 55 Meeting Gloria again. In fact, it was installed by Jack a few years ago. He basically lives on his own and doesn't know how to save money. Now, after doing a few commissions with Ye Fei, I have money to exchange for the gorilla arm that I've been thinking about. In fact, Victor has a wide network of contacts. Otherwise, an ordinary prosthetic doctor would just give him an ordinary gorilla arm. I'm just curious about how you installed these prosthetic bodies. So come and have a look. Ye Fei answered Victor. Because the gorilla arm prosthesis had to replace the entire arm, it took a little longer for Victor to install it this time. Jack, if you feel pain during the installation process, please remember to tell me. Otherwise, there may be problems when you go back and install it. Victor looked at the screen of the instrument placed aside and said, Old Way, don't you know your craft? It's just a little numb. It doesn't hurt at all. Jack laughed. This is to praise Victor's technology. It is important to know that major prosthetic body replacements are basically linked to the nervous system, and a careless one can easily fail or cause great pain. Victor's technology may not be as good as the prosthetic doctor who has many sophisticated instruments in the Arba group. But if it is a prosthetic doctor who has the same conditions as Victor, I am afraid that there is no one who is better than him. An hour passed. Victor stood up profusely in sweat and then took a sip of the beer that was put aside. Okay, Jack, you can move your hand now. Victor said to Jack, who was lying on the operating chair. Yeah. I can feel my arm is full of power now. It feels like I can directly blow up a car. Jack stood up to feel some of his new arms and waved them violently. Ouch. Jack, if you want to try, go out and try. Don't stay with me. I can't handle your punches now. When Victor saw Jack's actions, he was immediately dismissed. As a senior prosthetic doctor, he knew how powerful Jack's fist was now. If Jack punched his wall with all his strength, he would probably be able to make a fist mark. Hey, thank you, Old Way. Jack chuckled, clearly pleased with his new arm. It's nothing, you pay anyway. By the way, I gave you this chip, which allows you to better control the strength of the gorilla's arm. Victor took out a chip and handed it to Jack. Thank you, Old Way. You are so considerate. Jack smiled and inserted the chip into his chip slot. I don't want Misty's waist to be strangled by you inadvertently when you're making out with Misty. I can't find an assistant as good as Misty. Victor gave Jack a blank look. He has heard a lot about the person who just installed the gorilla arm and accidentally killed his family. Ye Fei, have you met Dexter? Well, Dexter told me something about the situation, and this time we may be going to the old place again. Hearing Ye Fei's answer, Jack was a little confused. The old place? Where? The Maelstrom gang, but we have to go to David first before that. Take Lucy, V, and Jack, who just installed the gorilla arm, to the hospital where Gloria lives. Mom, I've been expelled from Huangban Academy, and Brother Yi is also very kind to me. The first order I did with Brother Yi yesterday turned over 30,000 euros. No matter what you say, I just received a call from the head of Arabata Academy. He said that as long as you are willing to apologize to Katsuo Ida, you can go back to school. And the college also attaches great importance to you.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.